All right, listen. The first thing, actually, because the reason I came here was my man, Zar, shout out to you. I've never met you. I ain't got no issues with you. But I saw your take on what Chromazz was saying, and that shit had me kind of livid. I'm going to be honest with you. I was looking at it going like, wow, everything this dude is saying, for the most part, is like deceptive, you know? And I don't want to necessarily put you in that light as though you kind of knew what you were doing, but I think a lot of the stuff you were saying was just, it was not just inaccurate, but it almost felt like you were kind of shaping a narrative, so to speak. But we're going to get into that. The first thing I want to say is shout out to Toronto's First Lady, Chromazz. I got to be honest with you, I never really paid much attention to Chromazz like that. You know, I didn't really grow up here, so I'm not so familiar with things. I only moved here, I moved here within the last 15 years or something like that. But the point is, Chromazz, listen, baby girl, you said the realest shit. You kept it 100. Don't let people try to clown you or gaslight you like you didn't say nothing accurate. You were dead on. In fact, actually, what I would love, Vagez, if you could, is let's just do a little dedication to Chromazz right now. If you got the Hector Lavoie, let's put on some like Spanish salsa or some shit, you know what I mean? Just... Now, I try to look for like Ecuadorian singers or something. I don't really know that much about, Ecuadorian music like that. But I do know a few things about, Hispanic music. And I know that Hector Lavoie is Puerto Rican, but, this is like a classic in the Spanish-speaking world. So the song, you can just play like the first like 30 seconds of it or something like that. The song is called El Cantante by Hector Lavoie. So... if you can put that on. This is how we gonna start. We gonna start with some love, So dedication to Chromazz and, her peoples and all that. That's right. This shit classic, man. Shout out to New York. Let's go. All right, we're good. So, the first thing is Vagez, if you can find that clip where it was on the We Love Hip Hop Network, and Zar was giving his educated, quote unquote, response. If you want to run that so that you guys know what I'm talking about. It's about 12 minutes, but it's kind of a good idea to at least see what my man said, and then I can kind of go from there.
We love hip hop.
Yo, this girl just Islam, all of a sudden her life's in shambles. Like, okay, realistically, she's probably fine and like she has her money and stuff, but like, these are not things that you want on your rap right now,
What are your thoughts on that, bro? Because we had an interview, so we didn't really get into any topics. But as somebody who you're not necessarily Muslim, but you have half of your lineage.
We sure about
Islam,
that,
right?
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts when you heard what she was saying?
Well, me, Friday, I'm not one to shy away from a Islam debate or argument. I've gotten into many in my life, and it's been usually respectful, but there are times where, because religion is so close to people's lives and their identities, it can get very personal, or it can feel personal, especially for people who aren't approaching it theologically maybe, but they're just approaching it emotionally. But I just think that, like, from just an overall perspective, like, even though she wasn't really trying to get into the debate, even her just saying, oh, effing Muslim, oh, he's effing Muslim, like, it's just vulgar.
Okay, can you pause it right
like,
there, please? Okay. This is what I think is very interesting. Framing is always very important when you have these conversations. I don't know if you saw, there is a clip online where it's actually earlier in their conversation between N3on and Chromazz. And Chromazz is sitting there, I guess, maybe towards the beginning of their live stream or whatever. And it starts off with her being like, you're Muslim? Like she's kind of surprised. And N3on is like, yeah, I'm Muslim. And she's like, well, then why did y'all invite me here? Like, you invited me to this bar, and I'm like, I don't want to drink by myself. I don't know if you saw this clip. Did you see?
I didn't see that clip.
So I think this is really interesting because the framing is essentially that Chromazz just attacked this dude for being Muslim out of nowhere. But again, this is the thing I don't really like it's an internet thing, it's a human thing, but people just try to spin a narrative instead of just framing, giving all the context so that we can make up our minds ourselves. And so my point is, I do think it's a little odd to invite somebody to a bar or something like that, and then essentially you're not even drinking, and we don't know what the initial context of how that conversation went about. I don't know. But the point is, by the time she says, oh, he's fucking Muslim, like there's a whole pretext that is just missing from this conversation, and I think that's very, very important. So now, I also understand how people like to frame things. If you frame it as Chromazz starting as saying effing Muslim, then you're framing it as though this person's attacking your faith. And I think that in itself is disingenuous. Anyway, that's one side of it. The other thing, but let's continue because there was something I forgot, but we can keep going. Let's go.
Like it all boils down to just lack of communication skills that kind of led to the whole miscommunication.
Okay, can I pause here? All right, yes. Sorry, my man. So Zar, interestingly enough, immediately frames Chromazz as being a vulgar person, ultimately, and he uses the word vulgar. What I find so funny about people in hip-hop who are complaining about vulgar, I always find that really funny because hip-hop is vulgar. Let's just be honest, okay? Like, at its very core, it's always been vulgar. It's always, now, vulgar, I should say hip-hop is expressive. It's it has this mischievous side to it. It always has had that. And so, unless something is like really, just so, even, the truth is, bro, even if you cross the line, like we've seen this in rap music where someone will say something where like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you said that. But the truth is we still respect it because ultimately we understand that in hip hop, you're allowed to get away with this stuff because you're allowed ultimately we put more of a priority on being honest and keeping it real as opposed to feelings being hurt. This is just the truth, right? So when I see people in hip-hop, supposedly, or hip-hop adjacent, who never complain in general about anything being vulgar, but now all of a sudden something is vulgar because it has to do with a topic that you're sensitive to, it's a little kind of like, really? That's being hypocritical. That's just my opinion, okay? Now, anyways, let's go.
I could have been avoided, or they could have had a respectful argument about religion if she knew how to speak about it. But because she's just like, oh, you're fucking Muslim? Like, oh, so you believe this? It's kind of like, it's just not appropriate conversation for like when you're meeting someone of that caliber. I feel like it's a bad representation of us because all the mans were like, oh, it's just because she's a Toronto shorty, this, that.
But okay, some of the things, and I'm going to play a video from N3on just now. What about the things that she was saying? Like, because he was talking about, going to heaven and having virgins and stuff like that. And then she started going crazy, started, like low-key calling her a PDF file. And saying, oh, so what you want, 8-year-olds? And then like she got very disrespectful. Can you break down some of that? Because I tried, but my theology is horrible. And I was
pause right there. So Friday, I never met you. Again, I say this with all due respect. If you're going to have a conversation about something like this, I would say the best thing to do is just do a little bit of research into it. And you do self-admit that your theology is horrible. So, and I've listened to this clip, and you say some things that are just flat out inaccurate. Now, you can't say that someone is being disrespectful if what they're saying is actually accurate, right? That's just the fact of the matter. That's how these things go. So it may seem disrespectful to you, but most importantly, if you're unaware and if you're not informed, then that's really more reflection on you as opposed to Chromazz, okay? And again, I'm just saying that as all love. I've never met you, but, And look, as I say all this thing, man, bottom line is, look, if y'all want to take shots at me on my channel, whatever, and things I say, I welcome it. right? You can obviously, you're not gonna diss me personally because you don't know me, but you can certainly diss what I say or how I think about things. I ain't got no problem with that. All right, it's conversation. That's why we're here. Anyways, keep going.
Okay.
The Quran isn't talking in the literal sense of virgins. They're talking about unclean women.
Pause.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. It's not true at all. Sorry, man. You know, Islamic doctrine is very literal. It doesn't. If you actually read the Quran, I forgot to bring mine. It's funny. As you guys know, some of y'all who follow me, I used to live in the Middle East, so I've seen many Qurans in my life. I was there for 10 years of my life, and I actually have a Quran that I got from a Saudi friend. I unfortunately forgot to bring it. I would have showed it to you, but it's it's not metaphorical, bro. It's very literal, actually. So let's keep going.
And hold on, to say like the Quran is like figuratively, it's not literal, is actually a slap in the face to the Quran. Because then now it's a book based off of fact.
Right.
And
that's how they look at it.
And it's not like that.
And it's not like that.
It's actually set in stone.
Yeah. That's it. So again, it's just interesting how, sometimes what Friday's doing, he's being a bit of what I would call an apologist, right? So he's sort of saying, well, that was then, this is now, type of, people have these things, especially when they don't know about a person's religion or ideology, and they sort of apologize and make it more like moral relativism. So it's like, well, we can't really judge, blah, blah, but it's like, no, you can absolutely judge if you have the facts, number one. And number two, they don't look at it as moral relativism. They look at it as fact. So you have to consider it as fact from their perspective. So anyways, continue, please.
So, okay, what she's referring to are called like huris or hurain.
This is true.
Which is like, they're like in paradise, they're these like companions that you'll have with like beauty, So like
right.
Companions to do what?
Virgins, that might be like a loose translation, but like it is based on like this theological thing that's in there,
Pause.
which is huris.
Zar, companions to do what, my man? See, and this is what I think is so interesting, because Zar is saying, it's a loose interpretation, and companions to do what? It's very, very explicit what they do, okay? If you read the hadiths, now, for those of y'all who might not understand or know about Islamic doctrine, here, I'm here to help lift the fog a little bit, okay? By the end of this conversation, you're at least going to have an idea of how this affects you and how you can sort of move accordingly, okay? So in Islamic doctrine, there are three major pillars that make up Islamic doctrine. You have the Quran, which you've heard of. You have the Quran is the revelations of Allah to their Prophet Muhammad. So that's their number one. Closely second, and very, very important as well, is what they call the hadiths. The hadiths are the traditions and sayings of the Prophet, right? According to those who were there next to him, things like that, right? And then the last is what you call the seerah, which is the biography of Muhammad. Those three sort of books put together is the core, is Islamic doctrine 1000%. So the point is, if something is in the hadiths, it's Islamic doctrine. That's what people think. That's what they say as fact. And the fact of the matter is, when you go to heaven, the huris they're literally described in hadiths as big-bosomed women who are designed for the pleasure of Allah's warriors, who have remarkable, incredible frontal passages, pussies. This is literal, bro. This is not metaphorical. It's literally written like this, okay? And that if you will continue to ravish them and your dick will never go limp. It's literally written in there. So yes, the idea is that they are 100% virgins and you will never get tired of de-virginizing them. This is literally what is written. So when Zar said it's a loose interpretation, I'm like, no, homie. Again, I know you can kind of say that to people that don't know. Okay, respectfully. But for those of us who know, we know that that's not true. Right? And again, even if I think that, the truth of the matter is that pretty much Muslim canon, all the, whatever you talk, the imams, those, jihadis, they all think it's virgins. Okay? Let's be real here. So let's not play this again. Let's not play this game. Continue.
So that's like, that isn't invalid, but it's just like an oversimplification.
No, it's not.
When she says it like that. In terms of the 8-year-old thing, that's usually a reference to the Prophet Muhammad's marriage with Aisha, which, you know, claims that some sources claim that she was 6 and then they had sex at 9. Some people said she was 8 or 12. And like some people say she was actually 17 because of their calendars. Like there's a lot of controversy around the relationship that he had with
pause
Aisha.
right here?
And that is a cultural practice that you'll see.
Okay, so again, Zar, respectfully, this is completely false. 1,000% false, okay? There is no misinterpretation, loose interpretation of Aisha, okay? It's very clear in the hadiths, as I talked about. In fact, the 2 most respected hadiths, Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, they both confirm from Aisha herself directly. She says, I was 6 when the contract between me and Muhammad was made, and I was 9 when this was consummated. So you saying that some say it's interpretive, whatever, is honestly a complete lie. I don't know if you're lying deliberately or you just happen to not know. But this is a fact. You can, again, everything I'm saying, you can literally Google and read for yourself, right? So there is no loose interpretation. Now, as the years have gone by, especially within the last, I would say, 60 to 70 years, as the Muslim world is trying to engage with the wider world, right, they have started to kind of clean up some of these things that were written in their text. Because another thing that a lot of people might not realize is that a lot of what's been written, the English translations, is deliberately watered down. Deliberately. Because in Arabic, it is far more graphic and it's far more authentic, which is why when I give my opinions on things, I don't read and write Arabic, but I certainly follow people who do and who have the receipts and they can show me. So this is why it's also very important to listen to people, especially on these topics. Like, for example, I would shout out to Raymond Ibrahim, who is an Egyptian Cop. I would say listen to somebody who grew up in the Muslim world, who can read and write Arabic that isn't Muslim. Because you can't help but soak up Islamic culture anyways. It's the dominant culture. It's the only culture. And they know. And they can tell you with receipts what it actually says. Anyway, the long story short is that there is no loose interpretation, homie. That is literally what it says. Again, pull it up. Please, continue.
Because for a lot of different civilizations, like as long as a woman is able to have a period, she's eligible to be married because
Yikes.
she can have kids, right? And you know, obviously we're socialized knowing that, like, okay, that's not, you know, obviously they're too young, maturity, whatever, but when you look at animals, the moment an animal gets its period, it's gonna go into heat. Like,
What?
you know, like a cat could be like 1 year old. You know what I'm saying? Like, or 2, whatever.
Okay.
I don't know when.
Can you
when
pause,
that
my
happens.
man? So this is just, now you're just rambling off topic. You're talking about cats in heat and all that. That ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay, homie, respectfully. And again, sometimes when I hear things like this, I'm like, are you just trying to like deflect? Because that's literally what it comes across as, right? Respectfully, homie, you can't talk about it in certain cultures, blah, blah, if you're not going to get specific, number one. I got specific, right, when it comes to the doctrine. It's very, very explicit. And no, it doesn't happen in other cultures, okay? Where I'm from, nobody gets married at period age. It just never happened, okay? Now, you can say that there was a cultural practice, it's cultural, it's not religious. Well, here's the thing, though. You will notice if you follow what's actually happening in contemporary world right now. Afghanistan has lowered the age of marriage, I believe, to probably like 9 or something like that. Around that time, Iraq is trying to lower the age for marriage. A lot of like Muslim countries have done their best to lower the age to follow in line with their doctrine. So again, when you say that it's just cultural, that's a bit of a lie, respectfully, okay? And you know what? I'm gonna even go a step further because we live in Toronto. There are people in Toronto right now who are Muslim who've already been married to people outside of the country, and they're 10 or 11, and I know it's happening here in Canada. Of course, they're not gonna talk about it, and it's gonna be under the radar. But then that person, usually a woman or whatever, will go back to whichever Muslim country that they're originally from and reappear married. Okay, so let's just be honest about what's going on here. Again, I think that if you present the facts, you present the evidence, then it's okay. But you can't make it relative and say, well, but then animals and heat. Nah, that don't work. Please continue.
But like, it's just like, that's almost, for them, they feel like that's nature's sign, whatever. Either way, that's what she was referring to with that. The 8 wives thing, the 8 wives, in Islam, you're actually only permitted to have 4.
This is true.
I think. But the Prophet was allowed to have 8 or more.
He
but
had 11.
I think, that Islam's not the first religion to think about polygamy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't invent polygamy.
Polygamy in Christianity as well?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say, like, for obviously, like, monogamy is the default position in the New Testament, but in the Old Testament, you do see examples of polygamy. You see King Solomon and stuff, like many wives, and
okay, can
there's
you pause
rules
here?
around it.
Friday, where in Christianity is there polygamy, man? Okay, all right. So let's just address this, okay? Yes, the Muhammad had about 11 wives or so, and way more, booty or whatever. It's just, again, this is according to his own biography, right, and what's been written about him, and way more other sex slaves. Now, the truth of the matter is that when you talk about Islam has written in its doctrine that it's permissible to have up to 4 wives. Okay, that's just written. And again, how you know that something is, I would say, not just doctrine, but it's doctrine put into practice. When you see it being practiced in Saudi, where I essentially are kind of from, and in other places, then you're like, oh yeah, that's how this works. This is how this goes. This is extraordinarily common. Are there people in Saudi that have only 1 wife? Of course. I know some of these people, right? But are there others who have up to 4 wives? Yes, absolutely, right? So again, I don't like when people start to deflect and start talking about, well, but polygamy, and to me, it's a deflection tactic. Let's stay on topic, because the topic here is Islam, right? So we should stick to Islam. Please continue.
There's even separate categories for your wife and like your concubine, or like a woman that you guys like inherited from war. Like, there's real legal proceedings about that in the Islam didn't invent that,
pause.
So I feel like that's.
I think this is so interesting because he's like and he didn't say in the where, man.
It probably got time-stamped.
You think it got timestamps?
I'm pretty sure.
So then my question is, where exactly would this? He was saying that there's legalistic frameworks and things in other texts that state that you can have multiple wives. Where exactly are these places?
Guess we'd have to ask him.
Because I know it's in the Quran. I know it's in the Islamic doctrine. I know it's very stipulated, because if you read the Quran, it reads like legalese, actually. But you can't show me anywhere in Judaism or in the Torah or the Bible where that's stipulated. It just doesn't exist. So again, why are we having this conversation? I think that if we're going to talk about Islam, we talk specifically about Islam. We don't start wandering off to, but in Christianity, but in Judaism, because if you want to go there, we can go there. And honestly, it's not going to be necessarily pretty. All right? Please continue.
Not really like a good argument on her end.
Also there's that show Mormon Wives. That's a big show.
Bro, I'm gonna be real. Like, most of human history has been polygamous, so like it's monogamy is a very recent thing.
Can I pause on that?
And
so I don't know if he has proof for that, but I will say this: I'm Igbo, right? I'm Nigerian. In parts of Igbo land, people have been polygamous, right? I know some of these individuals. Like, I think, in fact, if I was to go back to my great-great-great-grandfather, I think he was polygamous. I think he actually had multiple wives, right? But we're talking, that would have been probably the late 1700s or something like that. And then kind of after that, it was just one wife. And then this is even before Christianity necessarily came into the picture. And certainly after Christianity came into the picture, then people really started to mostly do the one wife thing, right? So I understand that there is a cultural element to polygamy. But again, these people were doing these things, and it wasn't legislated necessarily as like in a holy book. And I think this is a really important point to make. It's really just Islam that has actually legislated this as a thing to do across all cultures, because one thing that people have to always remember about Islam is that Islam is not a race, it's an ideology. There are many different races that are Muslim. It's an ideology that goes across multiple geographies and people. But it's one thing to just say, oh yeah, this is cultural against, you know, for example, I don't know, Igbo people or people in Papua New Guinea or even, I don't know, people in Slovakia. And it's another thing entirely for you to have a certain codified set of rules that you practice across the entire world because all of you subscribe to a particular ideology. There are super levels to that. And I think that's why I don't really like the cultural argument, because it's not really accurate. Please continue.
Some people say that even like before that, like we lived in very like sexually free tribes where like everyone was smashing everyone. We all just took care of everyone's kids, you know, and like, I don't know. It's very complicated.
Let me play this video from N3on here because he responded to this whole thing, and there's also a rumor that he gave him 40 racks. But let's play this.
Bro, I'm sad I didn't get Chromazz. Bro, that shit, oh my God, dude. Why am I'm getting hate for that? Like, what the fuck did I do? I'm getting hate personally. I'm so lost. I'm getting hated on. We're both getting hated on. It's fucking insane. No one can win. Everyone's on my ass, bro. Like, this dude Cinco texts me, bro, this is why you need to understand more so you can defend us. Like, I tried, bro. I did my best, bro. Fuck. Whatever, man. I'm sad I didn't get Chromazz.
Did he do his best? He kind of just bounced real quick. He was just like, all right, you know what? I don't want to talk to you. Bye.
But N3on is also very self-aware that this is a hot topic. He's live on stream. He's like an active Muslim. He probably has these like Muslim connections, right? So like he doesn't want to say the wrong thing. So he'd rather delegate that information telling to an expert, which like intellectually is respectable, you know? Like if I don't know about something, I'm not going to like try to speak on it.
Okay, can I pause here?
Even though.
So I think this is a very interesting point. You know, and it shows you actually really the authoritative nature of Islam, because if he doesn't necessarily need to be the most knowledgeable, why would he not feel comfortable speaking about the religion that he claims to practice and love? And why would he feel like, oh, I'm not so knowledgeable, so I'm worried? What's the fear about? I don't get it. You know, and I think that that's in a sense cause for concern. Please continue.
That does end up happening in life. On the pod, you'll be mentioning something, I'm like, all right, let me just talk about it. But I think for someone who grew up Muslim, in his case, like he should know more, you know? Like I didn't grow up Muslim, like I know this stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think this could be
hold on. But you went to school for some of this stuff, no?
Honestly, most of my education on Islam was self-taught, but like I did go to school for like religious studies. I took a lot of courses on like Judaism, Christianity, like theology, philosophy, etc.
Can you pause?
Like,
please? Okay, Zar, this is a bit of a shot, but I don't believe you. As they say, as Hove said, we don't believe you need more people. Okay, now I'm not sure what your background is. I believe you may be Turkish, I think. It's not clear exactly what you studied, because it's like, hold on. Half of your family is Muslim, but so while you were in Turkey, you studied Judaism and Christianity. Something about that just seems a little bit, I don't know, right? You know how Hove be going like, anyway. Now, I will say this though, and I welcome anybody. I do think it's a good idea. Whether you happen to be Muslim and you do in fact, you know, study other religions, that's totally fine. Again, I'm not knocking that, but I am just saying I'm not so sure about that. And look, the truth is that most people, I would argue, don't really know about their religions, their doctrines in general. I think this is just a human thing, right? It's only, let's say, 10%. Let's say there's usually like a particular core of any religious group that I would say do their research, know the specific doctrines and things like that. But with that said, I still don't understand why that prevents somebody from speaking freely about what they believe. Chromazz, again, I don't know Chromazz. I don't know how much of the Bible and things that she knows. I don't know. I can't say, but clearly she said, hey, I feel that this is what, my opinion about how God loves me and things like that. She wasn't worried. There was no fear in how she spoke, right? And I don't think she's like a religious scholar like that. So again, it's not about the fact that it's intellectually the right thing to delegate the responsibility of someone else speaking because, you're on the spotlight. To me, that to me is respectfully a cop-out because it has to do with fear more than anything. And frankly, as it seems, all of this really, this entire, whatever you want to call it, setup, debacle, charade, this entire thing seems to be mostly set up from N3on's side, who essentially introduced the idea of Islam even before Chromazz started speaking. So again, it's a little odd to start off this entire live stream with that sort of bent and then be like, oh, let's get into it. But then when Chromazz does get into it, now all of a sudden you can't talk about it. It's a little odd. Trust me, we know this. Please continue.
Give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because I feel like you're a little bit more educated on theology, and this is why I asked you specifically about this topic than other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like for a lot of people, like we should all learn about it, even if we don't believe in it. I think it should be part of all of our educations because like it does inform how a lot of people see the world, and in your interactions, you're going to see the ramifications of like religious belief, like even in this one with, and Chromazz's theology of like, I can sin and no matter what, I'm good because Jesus loves me. He's my dog. Like it almost just encapsulates modern Christianity and the hypocrisy in it. And I think the reason why people don't take it seriously.
Can you pause here, please? This to me is maybe the second most dangerous thing that Zar said in this entire thing. And I'm going to say this respectfully, homie. The fact that you felt that Chromazz somehow represents the totality of modern Christianity in terms of what she said and her comments, to me, I think is disrespectful. And I do think it's very interesting that someone could point to Chromazz and say, Chromazz, you can't say that about our religion. That's super disrespectful and all that. But when the shoe's on the other foot, you have no problem just disrespecting all of Christianity, all of so-called modern Christianity as being hypocritical. I think that's a shot, frankly. And I just think it's so fascinating that of your criticism, really, you at no point do you ever criticize the idea of someone even believing that if you die, there's 72 virgins waiting for you, which again, some people believe that, whatever, right? But you never actually have any smoke for that. But you have smoke for someone who feels that, if I sin, I will be redeemed, which is actually obviously a core tenet of Christianity, the idea of forgiveness. Now, the way that Chromazz applies it, I mean, that's her own personal take, whatever. But the point is, you can't really take a shot and say that that represents all of Christianity or modern Christianity. I think that's very, very disrespectful. It's very sneaky. And this is why I saw this and I said, nah, I got to talk about this because you can't be doing that. Continue, please.
And I think it wasn't a good representation for Christianity.
Yeah. So do you, and I'll ask you one more question on this N3on thing. Do you think N3on should be getting any backlash for this?
He's going to get backlash, like, regardless. I think if he proclaims to be a Muslim and a believing Muslim at that, like, it's one thing if he just says, oh, I'm culturally Muslim, but I don't know. But if he's like, no, I believe in everything in the Quran, like, you should be able to defend your beliefs a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, obviously he's still young, And I think in those formative years, he wasn't really like interested in that stuff, maybe, I guess. So I think it's if he's going to incorporate it into his brand and also profit off being Muslim, let's not forget, like he probably goes to mosques and does like talks and stuff and connects with Muslim businesses and does business with those businesses, you know, like it's probably a big part of his economy. You know, that's one thing. Muslims, like, they have a strong sense of economy amongst each other.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So he should know more.
Yeah, he's got to be able to defend it. And there was a post, but it got deleted. I have Six Trenches page up here, right? There was a crazy post, but I think they took it. They had to have taken it down, bro. It was a DM exchange or a DM that Chromazz received from, I guess, somebody from the Muslim community or somebody who is Muslim. And they went crazy, and I was like, all right, this is where we're going too far. Like, they were like, you're a whore, and I hope you die, and all types of wild stuff, bro. It was just like unnecessary. I understand she offended the community, but the thing that she was getting back was just like you know, KYS type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess in their mind, what she represents everything that's wrong with the world. So it's like their hate is justified. It's almost like their hate is a display of righteousness because they're condemning what they believe to be, you know, whoredom or blasphemy or whatever.
No, yeah. You're right.
Can you pause here?
So,
I think we can actually end it at around this point. But to me, this is the biggest issue of anything that you said here is, respectfully, Zar, at no point do you say it's actually wrong to send death threats to somebody because they don't agree or they say something that you don't like. You essentially were like, well, you know, they're justified in their eyes because that's just what it is. No, it's wrong, period. At least I'll give Friday some credit because Friday was like, this is going too far, right? And see, again, we in the West, because the West is built on critical thinking and, as they call it, unitary ethics, which is the golden rule. Like, every person should be treated accordingly. Of course, we fall short as human beings, but the idea is do unto others as you would do to yourself, right? And so the point is that if you're in the West, there's absolutely no excuse for somebody to be threatened for any reason because of something that they said about some religious idea. There's no excuse for it. And I know that you don't directly say, well, Chromazz deserves it. Of course you didn't say that. But by the way that you spoke about it and never mentioned the fact that, in my opinion, you should have said directly, no, that's unacceptable, makes me wonder. And these are the kind of things where I said, nah, I got to speak up about this because it is unacceptable. This is somebody, especially in the hip-hop community that you are part of, you should essentially also say, hey, you know what? Nah, on this, I'm riding with her. On that alone, even if you don't agree with anything she said, on that alone, no, there's no room for it. And so, honestly, the totality of all the stuff that you said about your comments had me going, what's up with my man Zar right now? Okay, and again, I say this is all love. So this is where it ends for me in terms of the comments. But I had to say something because I think that, you know, Chromazz raised she raised a fair point, and I think that, frankly, what Chromazz said was actually very accurate. That's what I find so interesting about all this. She didn't say anything wrong. She was actually dead on accurate. But in my experience, growing up in the Middle East and even out here now, because a lot of those things have followed me here, funny enough, there are people in the community that do not, and I speak about specifically the Muslim community, the moment you actually know what their doctrine really says, they get very angry about it. And that's got to stop. So I will say, lastly, there's a lot that people, look, I would say Islam is not complicated. It really and truly isn't. It is presented in a way that's a bit complex, respectfully, where I say, and I think a lot of that has to do with deception. But it's actually not hard at all to understand because it's a civilization. Islam is a civilization. It's been around for 1,400 years. And, you know, it's done the same thing. The pattern of Islam is very similar. So, anyways, what do you think, my man, behind the camera? What's your overall thoughts?
I think we should talk to Zar.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, this is all again, it's all love. Like I don't know Zar personally, so again, it's not a personal shot. Although there are some things in there where I'm like,
Yo.
Oh, he's on the phone. Let's go.
Hold on, let me try and get him. Hold on.
Yo.
Yo.
What's poppin'?
I got my man Tochi here. You know what I'm saying?
What up?
Tochi, Zar,
Yo.
Tochi. I know you guys probably never
What up?
met. Now, you had an interesting take with Friday about the N3on and Chromazz situation. Tochi has his thoughts. Tochi, you can start.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So Zar, what's up? First of all, like Vagez said, I've never met. So I watched I watched your clip. I didn't agree with pretty much anything you said, and I honestly, not only did I not agree, I thought that you were inaccurate, and not just inaccurate. I almost feel like you were lying, you know, in a lot of ways. And I'm just being very blunt about this because there are certain things you said where I was like, someone that would say something like this is someone that knows a bit about Islamic doctrine, but is trying to kind of spin it in a way to essentially give it some cover. And that's where I kind of was like, nah, I got to speak on this because I don't think that that's right. So now, I have opinions on many things that you said on there.
What exactly? Could you like be a little more specific?
Oh, I mean, we can start from the very, very beginning. So I think that, I mean, I feel like I'm recapping Vagez. You want me to recap everything?
You can recap. Yeah, I think it would be best because we already talked about the segment. We can recap.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we went through it with a fine-tooth comb. So I would say the first thing is I think that you position Chromazz as her essentially being a vulgar person that attacked N3on for, you know, him being Muslim, which I don't think that's the case at all. Right? I mean, I just don't think, first of all, I don't think it's accurate to be sort of angry about her speaking vulgarly. It's hip hop. I mean, hip hop is vulgar. So that's number one. But number two, if you...
So wait, are you saying she was being hip hop by doing that?
Yeah, she was speaking her mind, 100%.
That's crazy.
What's crazy?
But like,
Go ahead.
Because I feel like, of course, you know, you're gonna have to like express your own opinions. But what I was saying in terms of just like basic manners and like when you first meet someone and the way you speak about particular things, like politics, like religion, like family, like money, right? Like at least maybe these are like, this is like perhaps a cultural thing where some cultures, like, you know, they're a bit more like open about certain things. But for me personally, if someone's like, oh, he's fucking Muslim, like that just sounds vulgar. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different ways to like communicate. What I said was it was a miscommunication thing. I don't think she was trying to attack him. I don't think she went in there with that like anti-Islamic like agenda or whatever, you know?
Okay.
But I just think the way it came across is a result of a miscommunication.
Right. And so this is where I'll say that context, where I say context matters, because there are parts of the live that if you actually go online and find, you'll find that there is a prior conversation to that moment where Chromazz is surprised that N3on is Muslim. So by the time she's getting drinks, she already knows that he's Muslim. And in fact, the prior clip, and it starts off with her being surprised that N3on is Muslim because she's like, oh.
And then what did she do? What did she do in that moment when he was like, yo, salam alaikum? She wouldn't shake his hand, and she was like, Christianity.
Well, here's,
you know what I'm saying? Is that a tolerant way to respond to someone if they're Muslim? Like, would
Yes,
you know
it
what I'm
is.
saying? Only someone.
Yes, it is, and I'll tell you why.
I feel like if you're a little more tolerant, if you're a little more tolerant, then you would embrace it. If you're anti-Islamic, then you would probably respond like that.
Well, here's the thing, respectfully, Zar, and you have to remember, you're talking to a guy that grew up in the Middle East who has read the Quran. I'm very familiar with Islamic culture and Islamic law. I'm familiar with, for example, what's the loyalty and enmity, the al-wala wa-bara, the concept that Muslims by nature must have enmity for the kafir. They have to hate the non-Muslim by definition. So for him to say, I'm Muslim, salam alaikum, is the definition of deception. That's their doctrine. Now, respectfully, that's one side. I kind of
know what position you're coming from.
Okay, but that's one side. But forget. Let's just park that to the side.
That's crazy.
Okay, let's just park that to the side. But I do think that again, it's very interesting because Chromazz's even before that, Chromazz's reaction to you're Muslim. She basically says, well, why did you invite me here to this bar? Because I don't want to drink by myself. She says it, right? So she's a little bit surprised that here's N3on and her friend or whatever. We're meeting under what she considers to be, just basic, regular circumstances. And then it's like, but you're inviting me to this bar. I want to drink with y'all and kick it, but you're not going to drink. And you're going to talk to me about how, I don't drink because I'm Muslim. So it's like, what is this? Is this Muslim promo? Like, what exactly is going on here? And so my point is, the context of this has been framed in a way to make it seem as though Chromazz is the first person to attack, which is not accurate. That's all I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying that, again, prior to that, because I didn't see a clip prior to that. So I don't actually even, in fact, know what was said even prior to that particular moment. But I am saying that there is a very important context that occurs prior to her saying effing Muslim when she's handing out a drink. You get what I'm saying?
For sure. I hear that. And like, if you want to get into Quranic breakdowns or hadiths, and by no means am I an Islamic apologist. We can get into that in the different phases of the prophethood and which verses come where. I've had those debates too, and I don't think you and I are totally different in how we see it, because I'm personally not Muslim, but my mom's side is Muslim. So I know both sides, and I've argued, against, but I just felt just the way she handled it wasn't professional, and it wasn't a good look, and it might have been offensive for some people. But just to clarify, can Vagez hear me right now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm here.
Vagez, is this the dude who had the hip hop take with Friday on the Market? Is it the same dude or no?
Yes, it is.
This is the dude who walks the guy that goes to Israel rallies, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Okay. I know who I'm dealing with.
So you know who you're dealing with. All right. So you already know.
And I feel like that says a lot about, where he stands on, maybe some geopolitical issues around the Middle East, maybe around Islam.
Well, but what does it say? What does it say exactly?
Whatever.
What does it say exactly, Zar?
It says that you're pro-Israel.
And?
You believe in a colonial state that was very recently created under false pretenses?
No, that's complete nonsense. It's
I don't know, bro.
It's a literal lie. But
do you think that land was promised to those people?
I'm not. Look, listen.
That's not what we're here for.
Yeah, we're not here for that.
You know what, though? Zar, this is great.
No, because that informs me about why he takes his position on Islam
that's a fair. Okay,
and that means he does his Islamic research and stuff. It's you want to know what bias you're dealing with, And
it's not about bias, sir. Respectfully,
it is extremely biased.
No, it's not. Respectfully, Zar. I told you, I grew up in the Middle East. I literally spent a decade in Saudi Arabia. I grew up around all kinds of Arab Muslims. My best friends in high school were Palestinian Arab, really from Jordan. I know that region like the back of my hand because I grew up there, right? So for you to, in fact, if anything, I should actually have more of a bias towards the Arab Muslim side of things.
Pro-Islamic?
I should, in fact, have more bias because I spent more time there, and I've never been to Israel. So here's the thing. With that said, and I want to say this and then just leave it, okay? I think that the whole concept of Israel, all this stuff, is ultimately we're talking about Islam here, okay? And comments made that would have to do with Islam, okay? So I'd rather focus on that, okay? The Israel stuff is not really relevant. It's a side
But what
piece.
did I say that was like Islamically incorrect? Like, I acknowledge the scholastic view on Aisha, and that there's hadiths that say that, you know, what her age is, right?
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that.
Well,
The 8 wives thing, I actually clarified that it was 4, but Muhammad was allowed 8. He had the exception. I acknowledge that.
okay, so
Right? Are these both not correct?
well, it's not up. It's about the way
I
that
just
you
want a
said.
yes or no.
Well, no, because this is
Because you're saying I'm lying.
I am
I'm saying factual things.
I'm saying
Where
I'm
was the
saying-
lie?
Here's the lie. First of all, the lie is that you're saying that there's a loose interpretation of how old Aisha might have been. That's a lie. That's a flat out lie.
There is.
It's
There
not a-
is.
it's not a
But
loose
it's obviously
interpretation.
a minor view. It's a minor view. I think the majority of scholarship acknowledges what everyone else acknowledges, which is what it directly says, which is the 6 and 9. But there's
So-
alternative views that maybe would be considered more academically fringe. Sorry, but
Why
I'm not
would you
going to
mention-
acknowledge. Like, it's kind of like.
Why would you mention fringe? Well, why would you mention fringe views? We
Because
don't-
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to show all the sides, like, because obviously mainstream scholarship sometimes, you know, has their own bias, and maybe there's some things that are more accurate, some things that are more inaccurate, right? So I'm just being fair to the alternative views by presenting that, but
Here's the
I didn't
problem.
say that's the majority views. But there are people who say that she was older, so that's not a lie, brother.
No, that is a lie, and I'll explain why that specifically is
How
a
is
lie.
that a lie?
I'll explain why it's a lie. In the Islamic world, does not necessarily believe in alternative views, right? So, because that is essentially, forget the damn word off the top of my head. It's very, very clear from the 2 most respected hadiths that, and that's Al-Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. It's super clear that Aisha, because it's a direct source, that Aisha says herself that I was 6 and when I was married and I was 9 when it was consummated. That's it. That's where it ends. Now, this so-called alternative fringe viewpoint that you are mentioning is probably come about in the last 60 years at most, which is an attempt.
Exactly.
Which is let me hear me out here. Which is an attempt to essentially deflect or downplay how serious it is for a grown man to consummate with a minor, right? But that does not mean that Islamic scholarship remotely accepts that viewpoint at all. There's literally no evidence that even anyone, any major imam anywhere in the Muslim world considers that to be accurate. In fact, what we see so often. What's going on?
I think he's in this car.
Oh, he's in the car?
Yeah.
What we see throughout
Oh, you
this.
can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We
Yeah.
can hear you. What we see throughout the Islamic world is, in fact, the reduction of marriage age towards that 9 number. So again, respectfully, there is no loose interpretation of this, right? It's like saying, well, some people consider Aisha to be a bit older. No, that's not it at all. Like
But like you said, over the last 60 years, mostly in the Western world, you've seen younger scholars try to essentially either, like you're saying, rewrite history or reinterpret or modernize the interpretation because it's been such a subject of controversy.
Right.
So that's not a lie. It's just, like you said, it's not the mainstream opinion. The mainstream opinion is still that of the last, several hundred years. So I'm not going to speak on, which age it was. Like, obviously it says, some people say that it was when she first had her period and what age that was, etc. But I don't know. Like you said, the Muslim world, a lot of it goes by that.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
they go
pretty
by
much all.
9-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean that's how they. So that's what they believe, and that's how they put that belief, that doctrine, into practice. So ultimately, that's what matters. It's so it's not inaccurate. So when Chromazz says you believe in marrying 8-year-olds, for example, she was dead on. That's not. It's not a loose. She wasn't wrong in saying that. She was actually dead on. I mean, that is literally the truth. The truth is, Muhammad, the prophet. The prophet
But when
married
did I
somebody.
say what you said was inaccurate? I just think it's just not a cool thing to say to someone who's like a believing Muslim on the first meetup. You know, like just from like a human to human thing. You know, like
Why
if
not?
you think, and like I understand because an intellectual attack on an idea shouldn't be a personal attack.
Right.
But oftentimes people's religious identities are a big part of who they are, especially with their family and stuff. So like, I just don't think it's an appropriate thing to bring about. And I've had debates with Muslims like that, like early on, like early into meeting someone because they'll espouse their beliefs and you're like, so you believe this, you believe that. And it can get very heated, you know? So I do believe in like a fair exchange of ideas. I just think there's like a smooth way to go about it.
Okay, and I can respect that, but N3on himself was like, let's get into it. He actually invited the conversation, and as I said, considering that there is a prior context to their conversation even before the whole effing Muslim comment that Chromazz made, it looks like there was a whole prior context to this, and so ultimately N3on invited this conversation in some way, shape, or form. And so how is it disrespectful if Chromazz just says this is a fact of something that you claim to believe in? There's nothing disrespectful about that. In fact, you invited this conversation because frankly, had N3on just invited Chromazz over and drank with them or whatever, or even was just like, because again, like I said, I don't know what the prior conversation was, but let's not go to a bar, or let's just go to a park and talk hip hop, and Chromazz is there talking about rap. Like, I mean, none of this would have come up, right? So
okay, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
I'll put it in a way that you can understand because I know you love your little Israel rallies. If I meet someone that says they're Jewish or they're Israeli, should I talk about, so you believe that according to the Talmud that all the goy are pretty much animals, or you believe that Jesus is burning in sperm? Should I bring that up upon meeting someone that's Jewish right away because they mentioned they're Jewish? Because they're like, I don't want to eat this because I'm Jewish, it's not kosher. Oh, you're Jewish, so you believe this, that. Like, is that a healthy way to go about interacting with someone? Or, you're from Israel, so you believe this, you believe in genocide, this, that. Like, is that good when people do that? No, it's not, right?
Well,
even though I'm just acknowledging beliefs, I'm just acknowledging ideas.
Zar, are you able to have this conversation without mentioning Israel at all, or Jews? Because this has nothing to do with them. This we're talking about Islam.
I'm trying to give you a parallel example to get you to understand why, bro. Let's not
go down that route, man.
Why?
Come on. It's a deflection.
Let's be intellectually. It's not a deflection. I'm trying to give it to you I'm trying to propose it in a way where like it's a parallel, and I don't think that's appropriate to do either, right? I'm just saying, if you meet someone, if he's like I'm Muslim, she could have left it at that. She could have been like, okay, like, but she's like, oh, so you're Muslim, so you believe, like, you have to like kind of get him to identify his beliefs right on the mark. And by the way, he didn't invite her to a bar. They went to an arcade that serves alcohol. They didn't go to like a straight up bar.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? If it was a bar with just alcohol and like finger foods, I'd understand that's weird.
Fair,
but like they went to freaking like Stephen Buster's.
Okay, that's fair.
But Vagez, you bagged how scared he got when I tried to give him the Israel example. Just note that.
But then again, like, we're not here for that.
It's not on topic.
But I would hold on. But I do.
No, but we're talking about intellectual conversation and debate and freely talking about things and challenging ideas.
Okay,
so if I
agree with
it
you
in a different way, like
Zar, if you want to have
Zar,
can I say this real quick, Vagez? Zar, if you want to have a conversation, the two of us in the room and we talk Israel all day, I have no problem with that. I love Israel. Israel's a great place. But
I would love to see that one.
But straight up. So, but this is not about Israel, and the fact that you're deflecting to Israel says something.
I'm not
hold on,
right?
But here's the thing. You heard the name Israel. You didn't understand what I said. You didn't understand the parallel. Well, if I
it's not about parallels. I'm not interested in parallels.
Talmudic beliefs right off the first interaction. That's pretty much the same thing she did, but just Islamic.
Let me jump in. The difference here was, remember, Chromazz said, let's not get into it, and then N3on said, no, let's get into it. Let's not forget about that. Because I think your parallel would have worked if you said, I denied something because, this is a Yom Kippur or whatever, you're fasting. And you'd be like, oh, you're fasting? Yeah, I'm Jewish or whatever. And it's like, I get it. And then they'd be like, what don't you get or whatever? You're Jewish and whatever happens. And that person says, I don't want to get into it. What do you mean? Let's get into it. What is your beliefs or whatever? And then you start to.
And I agree.
I think that's what a parallel.
If you have a belief and you can't defend it, that's maybe you shouldn't put that belief forward. You know what I'm saying? So, and I even said that on the take. I'm like, yo, he's espousing this belief. He should be able to defend it. But I think it is the same thing as the example I provided, because you're assuming that because, someone ascribes to a religion or a belief, because that belief consists of different texts that we can examine, that they believe that. And that almost reflects, so you believe that, we should marry a. Let's be honest, fam. And a lot of Muslims live in this kind of, especially Muslims in the West, they have a dilemma where, they're obviously Western first, even though they're Muslim religiously. So he probably doesn't believe that, but because he's Muslim and it's a cultural heritage thing, he's going to say, well, I believe everything in the Quran, but deep down, because he grew up in the West, that's not a cultural norm here like it was in, medieval Arabia.
But then why doesn't he say that?
I think he needs a little more education on this, and I think he should be able to speak on these things. He's obviously young, but I'm not going to hold him accountable. Obviously, people like you and I, we're interested in these topics. We do our research, and so we can speak on certain things. But I think for him, it's kind of just it's just part of who he is culturally, and maybe he hasn't examined it even theologically, truly.
I hear you, Zar. So here's the thing. I'm not so interested necessarily, and this is a kind of a wider, I guess, conversation on this particular point where you say essentially Muslims who live in the West and whether they adopt Western values or not. This is a little bit off topic, but the truth is what one Muslim man practice or woman practices in their home and blah, blah, obviously there might be some, variations and all that. I'm not so interested in that. I'm really much more interested in what the doctrine says and how it's practiced applied on a mass level, right? And there are facts, there are data, there's studies, there's all kinds of literal, objective material collected on this. We know that Muslims in the West, a lot of them hold the same viewpoints as the so-called cultural Muslims from back home. There's a lot of data that shows this. So I don't really buy the idea that N3on, because he grew up in the West, he somehow thinks that it's not okay to marry a minor. That doesn't really work like that, right? No, I'm not saying that he does, but again, the data kind of shows otherwise. With that said,
yeah, I think it depends on religiosity and how religious they are and
absolutely
how Western they are, etc. There's so much nuance, but there are a lot of Muslims that aren't practicing, but will just do Ramadan and they deep down they don't carry a lot of those beliefs, but they just ascribe to it on a spiritual kind of attribution,
Well, yes, and also there are some that of for some people they just would rather not engage with that idea. It's they just don't think about it. They're like, okay, that part I don't want to even really think about it, but it's also this is getting into a longer conversation about the nature of how Islam evolves as it becomes more and more entrenched in the society. As there more and more Muslims enter a society, you'll notice that some of these ideas that were so-called pushed to the back end up starting to come to the forefront. So, which means that people essentially had these ideas all along, but they just felt that they didn't really want to talk about it. They didn't want to share it because they didn't want to spook the non-Muslim. Anyway, that's...
Which ideas, I'm just curious, which Islamic ideas do you feel Muslim migration has introduced to the West?
Which of them, or you mean all of them? So okay, so
which ones? Which ones do you feel we've adopted? Having halal option?
Halal is one of them for sure. Halal is definitely one of them.
That's almost a business, but that's a business thing. You just want to maximize how much people you can get, right? So why not serve halal? I don't think that's necessarily an ideological principle that Islam brought to the West.
They have
kosher.
I don't know about that, my man.
They have kosher food out here. They have Punjabis. They eat their food a certain way. Like there's different religions have different sacrificial elements, right? With their meat. Pause.
Okay, so I'm going to say that in this particular case, now we're going off topic in a bit, but the truth is that
no. But I asked you, what did they introduce to the West? Because you're saying wherever they go. You know what I'm saying? Like they bring their ideas with them.
Yes,
like,
that's
but
true.
what has the West? What Islamic idea has the West adopted?
What Islamic idea has the West adopted?
Like in a whole, Zar?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
In a whole. So halal is...
Like, give me one example. Like
So
that's not really like
okay.
a business adjustment. Like
No, but I think halal is a good example because if the community doesn't bring halal to the West, we don't talk about halal at all.
Yeah.
So that's one. Well,
halal
example.
is not like that's not like a print. That's not like a moral principle. You know what I'm saying? That's just like how they literally serve their food and stuff. So like, and different cultures already had that here.
I disagree, Zar. I say this respectfully,
Well, I would
Matt.
argue actually it's a more humane way. It's a more humane way.
I disagree because the nature of halal, from what I understand, isn't it to slash the throat of the animal while it's still alive or something like that and let the blood drip out slow or some weird? Like, I mean, I don't see how that's more humane. But again, that's beside the point, my man. The truth is that, you know, these conversations, and I do appreciate actually that you are speaking to me on the phone because, like I said, the comments that you made, I didn't think they were accurate and I didn't like them, but that doesn't necessarily mean, of course, I have no issue with you. I've never met you, so it's not personal. But I do think that it's important that, especially here in the West, we have to start really like being honest about what people actually really believe and what is actually going on and what they're saying. And especially, and coming back to this Chromazz thing, there are two things actually, respectfully, that I found of your comments that I really didn't appreciate. So one side that I said, okay, the stuff you said about, well, it's a loose interpretation, Aisha, all that's to the side. I actually think that that's kind of the minor, let's say, infractions. The two big things that I thought I really felt was like you were crossing a line was, number one, when you said that Chromazz's comments her comment about how, she feels that she can sin and, God's got her, and how that hypocrisy represents how bad, essentially, that modern Christianity is and how hypocritical it is. I think that's a hard shot, my man. I think that's very disrespectful to 2-3 billion people on the planet that are Christian. You're basically saying that Chromazz represents all of Christianity. Her sinning is like just how Christianity is. It's wishy-washy. You can do whatever you want, and then God got you. I think that's a strong statement, man.
Well, first of all, if you're talking about saying things that are offensive to people who adhere to beliefs, but you're willing to say things that, like you said, if you can find it in the Quran or the Hadith, like, it's fair to critique. It's not like personal, right? But like, you're willing to offend a couple billion people. But a comment that I made as a Christian, by the way, and you're going to act like a lot of people don't have this theology. A lot of Christians don't have that same theology where they can just sin and no matter what, Jesus is just going to bail them out at the end. I do think that's an issue. And I think Chromazz's statement represented a belief that is not unique to her. She didn't invent that. You know what I'm saying? Millions of people believe exactly what she does. And I think that does kind of delegitimize Christianity and makes Islam more appealing to people who look towards, works as opposed to like pure faith and belief. Because, the idea in Christianity, ultimately, a lot of people say like, there's no such thing as works-based salvation. We can never be good enough. So that's why Jesus made the sacrifice, But, faith without works is dead as well, as it says in the book of James. So like, you kind of have to look at what Chromazz is saying as a representation of this, do whatever you want, but you're forgiven type of Christianity that honestly like informed a lot of colonialism and like the early Catholic Church. And people would actually have to pay for forgiveness for their sins. I don't know if you like are familiar with like early Catholic history, but like, you know what I'm saying? So
you've said some stuff. Can I respond, please? You've said some stuff here. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is nowhere in Christian doctrine. There's not on the Ten Commandments. You're not going to find anywhere in the Christian Bible that says, you know what, you can sin and do whatever you want and God's got you. It's just not. It's not a doctrine, bro. It's not there.
It's not that direct. It's not that direct. But like, do Christians follow the law of the Old Testament? Do Christians follow the law of the Old Testament?
Do Christians follow the law of the Old Testament? Well,
yeah,
no, not necessarily, because the idea is that there's a New Testament, and that's the whole point, right? Isn't it Jesus came to bring in the New Testament? You look at the Old Testament as sort of like a more like stories and things like that to help you understand the New Testament. But I've essentially come to bring a new covenant. That's the idea. And this new covenant is about forgiveness. It's about, in fact, not being a hypocrite. Is to get away from the Pharisees, how the Pharisees behaved, where they behaved like hypocrites, right?
I think I agree with what Zar is saying. I don't think he means anything about the ideology being in the doctrine, but more so what the Christianity has evolved into now that we believe and what we were taught, because we were taught by pastors, essentially, or preachers or whatever, to say that, you know, if you sin and you pray for your forgiveness, you still have a chance to go to heaven. I feel like that just is the bottom line thing here, and that's what carried along with us from then to now. But it's now more, I guess you could say, amplified. And
okay,
that's all. I think that's where I feel like that's where Zar was saying.
And to be fair to Zar and you, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that is actually not stipulated in the Bible. Now, where your and Zar's argument is, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, or that personality, or that, let's say, take doesn't exist. I'd like to finish my point on this, because that argument of essentially a personal relationship with God that kind of comes about where you don't necessarily have to answer to a larger sort of canonical body, that's a very Protestant thing. And that kind of came about through Calvinism. You could call it Protestant reform. But again, you have to remember that most of the world is Catholic. They're not even Anglican or whatever, or Baptist. So it's not accurate to say that modern Christianity believes in this idea that whatever I do, God's got me. It's just not accurate. Now,
well, what is modern Christianity? What is modern Christianity? There isn't really like a non-denominational governing body of Christianity. The biggest one you have are the churches, the Orthodox and the Catholic ones.
That's right. That's right. So that's why, again, so doesn't that show?
Yeah, but those guys have images. Those guys have images of Jesus that's like against like Old Testament law about like, you know, presenting images and stuff. Like those guys worship Mary and stuff. Like, you have to understand that, like, the thing is, here's the thing. Okay. That's my whole point, is that, like, modern Christianity is so spread out that you can't really pinpoint beliefs because, like you're saying, what you're saying is true. It doesn't say that in the Bible that you can, like, just go out and sin. You know what I'm saying? And but it also, there are, like, churches, like Vagez was saying, and pastors that will espouse that, like, no matter what, Jesus got me, and I can never be good enough, so blah, 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 blah. I'm going to just, you know, come to Jesus after, like.
Well, yes, but again, Zar, I hear what you're saying, but this is why I don't think it's fair for you to throw, the way I looked at it, it felt like you were throwing Christianity under the bus, because I'm seeing someone say, well, Chromazz's comment represents modern hypocrisy, the modern Christianity's entire hypocrisy and wishy-washiness. And I'm sitting there going like, huh? Because, again, in Islam, the idea of marrying consummating with a 9-year-old is stipulated. It's not even like it's discussed. It's literally stipulated, right? It's written in the primary hadiths. So it's not even, you're talking about two completely different things. And for me to mention and say, oh, well, but it does say this in, Sahih Muslim or Sahih al-Bukhari, that this is what happened. And it does say that you're supposed to emulate the way that Muhammad lived his life. He is the ultimate figure in Islam. So you are supposed to do that. That's a fair point. So for Chromazz to say, so you believe in this, is not disrespectful. It's literally taking your word, as you have told me, for what it is, and just telling it back to you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what she's doing is she's acknowledging the inherent underlying beliefs of you saying, this is what I believe in, right? It's kind of like if someone's like, oh, I believe in like the NDP party. It's like, oh, so you believe in tax breaks? And this is like literally things that are stated. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think you're inaccurate or she's inaccurate in saying that. All I was saying is that if she wanted to have like, a useful debate, like a fruitful debate about it, like I think there's a way to go about it. And I did think she was vulgar. I don't think she's necessarily just like hip hop in just because she's Chromazz or she raps or like that, like her stance represented being hip hop or whatever. But maybe we could disagree about that. But I just think that like it just didn't look good on her. Like you should also, as much as you should be aware of the ideas that people hold and like the history and like the things we're talking about, you should also be aware of like from just like a wisdom perspective, like when is it right to talk about something? Like it's almost like playing chess, you know, like there's always a right move, and I just don't think that was the right move. Like was it a wrong move? You're arguing it was not a wrong move, and I can hear you on that, but I just don't think it was the right move, you know?
Okay, all right, that's your opinion. I think it was the right move because given the circumstances that she was placed in, and N3on, in my opinion, again, I don't know what came about prior, but N3on essentially, being a Muslim streamer, created that environment and wanted to go down that route, and it went down that route, essentially. It's just that he had to fall back because he got exposed. I think that's literally what happened. You know, it's not like they were just hanging out somewhere and then Chromazz came out of nowhere and was just like, I've heard you're Muslim. I don't like Islam. That's not what happened, man. That's literally not what happened. So that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, if you're going to create a situation where this religion that you ascribe to, you know it's essentially going to be part of the conversation, is going to dominate the conversation, is going to be an important part of the conversation. You create that environment, and then when the person then reacts to that, and you say, all right, well, let's get into it, because she's like, I don't want to get into it, and then you say, let's get into it, that's it. You've definitely opened the floodgates, and now this person has got into it, and you've backed away. To me, that's duplicitous. That's duplicitous behavior. That's the kind of person that is like, I gotta watch my back around you because you're not being honest right now. Right. But I will say the last thing I wanted to also point out that I also respectfully didn't appreciate was when Friday brought up the idea, was talking about sort of like, because Chromazz, I'm sure, is getting all kinds of messages, I'm sure, death threats, wild shit. I can just guess. Now, I think that when Friday said, and you know, this is not okay, which it's not okay on any level. And I didn't hear you say that. I in fact heard you say more like, well, you know, Toronto does have a lot of Muslims, and so, you know, if they felt offended, that's kind of the consequence of it. And I'm like, no. That's not the answer to that, bro. The answer to that is that it's unacceptable.
You sound like one of those social justice. You sound like one of the social justice bros that are like, "Well, you didn't dismiss it, so that means you're condoning it." Like, buddy, get out of here with that, like, liberal leftist shit. No, bro. I don't just because I didn't friggin' like cry a river for her. That first of all. Do you know the type of messages these girls get before anything? Like you're desensitized at this point, and I don't justify. Like, I don't think you should be able to send death threats. But by the way, I get a lot of hater comments too. Like, if you're on the internet, you're gonna get some rude ass comments. So like, I feel like it's not that serious. Like, you know, like okay, I don't think so. Zar, you're real, but like it's just the internet, bro. Like, so Zar, sorry, let me clarify here because you've said a few things. And I'm not saying death threats are okay because you're trying to spin it like a libtard, bro. Don't do that. Okay, so again, you've said a bunch of things. Let's just get back to the original point here, okay? The original point, Friday did say, and that's not okay, right off rip. So do you believe it's okay for someone to speak about Islam and get death threats? Is that just a natural consequence? You have the chance. Are you familiar? Yeah. You have the chance now to clarify. Yeah, so clarify, please. Let me speak. Go ahead. Do I think it's? Can you rephrase the question just so I can give you a yes or no and then expand? Sure. So you have the opportunity now to clarify. Do you think it's
do you think it's okay, it's all right for somebody who spoke about Islam to receive death threats? Or
No.
whatever. No. Okay, good.
No. Now, let me expand on that, because are you familiar with Salman Rushdie?
Of course.
Do you remember when Salman Rushdie wrote that book and there was this like crazy like uproar and stuff and like death threats and like it was very violent. Like I thought like that was the worst display of like a reaction to like creativity in my life. Like, you know me, I'm a creative first, so I feel like everything should be able to be spoken about, even like comicized or like even made to make funny, like comedy and stuff. Like I just believe there's humor in everything, you know?
Right.
So like I don't like when people aren't able to have that like free dialogue about ideas, you know? And obviously, you know, you can see the difference in like how Muslims will react against like, you know, prophet slander versus like Christians, you know? And I think, you know, that could speak to the nature of the religions, the cultures, etc. But what I will say is that like it's expected. That's why I wasn't really shocked at it. Maybe that's why I didn't jump at it and cry, where it's like, bro, like, of course, like you talk about a religion with this many believers. And by the way, like Christians will send death threats too to some people when like those hardcore Christians from the South and stuff, like if you're a violent person and like you're going to send a death threat, like, and you just happen to be Muslim or happen to be Christian, like that's gonna happen.
Zar,
you know what I'm saying?
Respectfully, you're slipping into a moral relativism apologist territory. We're just talking about Islam specifically, okay? That's let's just keep it to Islam, okay?
No, I don't think people should receive death threats for speaking about Islam or any ideas, honestly.
Okay, no, and that's fair, and I appreciate you saying that, and I think that's very, very important. You know, like it's not acceptable, especially here in the West. You know, if I lived in Saudi Arabia, whatever, I mean, it's your world, or I should say it's a Muslim's world. Like, you can do what you want, I guess, but
you know, I have a question, because, like, you know, we're talking about ideas, and, like, you know, you say you're, like, pro-Israel, but I didn't really hear you condemn, you know, the innocent killing of Palestinian children, so I wanted to give you the opportunity now, like, on this microphone, like, do you think it's okay for the Israeli government to kill innocent Palestinian children?
Did Chromazz and N3on have this conversation?
No, like, because like
so
I have
it's
to
irrelevant.
Respond to you and like respectfully, like, who are you? Like, why do I even have to defend any of my beliefs?
You don't have to.
So
you don't have
I'm
to.
giving you the opportunity. No, but you're asking me to like justify some like moral. So I'm trying to get you to justify your beliefs, right? Because we're talking about what we see, right? So I seen your Israel thing. Vagez, you know this guy's not going to talk about it. He's probably friggin' shaking in his boots. But if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, we should talk about it.
Listen, I'm okay.
I find this guy's kryptonite. Yo, this guy's Achilles heel. Like, he'll talk about anything. If there's like, my ankle. No, guys, can we stop playing? Yo, time out. I have to put a bandage on my ankle. He mentioned, can we not? Like, brother, come on, man.
You know the thing is,
come on, no, bro.
I can't speak.
Brother.
You don't want me to speak?
Person.
You don't want me to speak?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, all right, then it is what it is.
I'm over this combo, but you can say what you need to say.
No. Listen, it's not on topic. If Chromazz and N3on had that conversation about whatever is going on in Gaza and, you know, Israel, whatever, then, and that was part of the commentary, I talk about it. But it's not on topic. I don't like.
But it's part of your Instagram. It's like you're saying what you saw. My
Instagram is not part of the conversation, bro. Chromazz and N3on did not talk about my Instagram. They don't know who I am.
You're basically on content. Yo, this is content that's posted on the internet. You post your Israel rallies on the internet, brother.
And what's that got?
I feel like that.
What's that got to do with what Chromazz and N3on said?
I feel like that's a conversation, an in-person thing, Zar. If you wanted to have a one-on-one with Tochi, you guys could talk about all that stuff on a separate account.
No, but I just feel like I just wanted to hear the condemnation.
I know you,
because you know I have to condemn something I didn't say or whatever, because I didn't hear you speak up about that. Here's your opportunity now. Buddy, I didn't hear you talk about that either, so I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
It's on topic.
You know,
I'm not gonna condemn N3on's dislike of strawberries, bro. It's not on topic. Sorry. Another time, okay?
Okay. So one more thing, I want you guys to think about this, and you don't have to answer it now. Before I let you go, Zara, and thank you. And honestly, I really do appreciate your time. Like, you're my guy, you're my brother. I love you.
No problem.
Do you feel like religion in its own right, and I'm talking about all religious deities, do you feel like religion needs to evolve Doesn't have to answer now. Chat, if you guys are listening to this, if we clip this out, or the YouTube family, does religion need to evolve? Then I'll leave it at that. Zar, thank you for your time, brother. We're going to link up real soon.
Okay.
Shout out to give your handles, do all your stuff, where they can get you.
At DJ Zar TV, at Burrow Sound TV, salute to GTV Network, Vegas Gutsy, Tochi. Respect for the convo. It was good.
Man. Respect.
Shout out to the chat. I'm sure old John Crow's in there. Whoever else is in there, you already know.
Don't know, brother. And let them know who you are as DJ Zar. You're the white chocolate, whatever. I like that. Do that intro, and then I'll let you go.
Oh, DJ Zar, a.k.a. Burrow Sound, a.k.a. Young Shawarma, a.k.a. Cheeseburger, a.k.a. Coffee Poppy, a.k.a. The Ruiner, a.k.a. Zarly Kirk, a.k.a. Lieutenant George, a.k.a. Blueberry Terry, back at it like a crack addict.
Zarly Kirk. But don't know, broski.
Don't know, guys.
I love.
Well, that was interesting. Spicy at times, but you know what? At least Zar stepped up and actually spoke, and that I do respect, even if I think he was trying to deflect. Again, you know what I think is so funny about this, my man, is that I honestly have no problem. I mean, I talk about whatever, right? So I just like to keep things on topic. That's all it is, right? We can sit back if he wants to do a live just talking about, whatever, whatever is going on in Israel or whatever. I will say this, though. The only problem I find is that, you see, people use, mediocre people in particular, but people tend to use, the Jews as some sort of like, how do I say? It's like a piñata. It's like a thing, like people wave to deflect from whatever's going on that they're doing. They're just like, oh, but look at the Jews. And so I always find that just kind of, that's why it's like you don't want to go down that train. Not to say that it's not important. How did this dude get past my do not disturb? Ain't that some shit? Anyway. So yes, but the last thing I will say, and then let's get into some hip hop or whatever, but the last thing I want to ask you, my man, are you familiar with apostasy laws? Do you know what an apostasy law is?
No, something to do with the Bible, though, right?
No.
Oh shit! So no, I don't know nothing about that.
Okay, so, and I'll leave y'all with this because this can be a longer conversation. Maybe Zar will be part of this. So, apostasy has to do with when you leave a religion, right? So, what should happen to you if you were to leave Christianity, right? Are there laws stipulated about this kind of stuff? All I'll say about this, and I think this is a really important thing to keep in mind, is that, for example, you'll notice that when I was talking to Zar, and frequently when people will talk about Islam, they'll say, well, in Christianity or in Buddhism or whatever, they'll always try to put Islam in the umbrella with other religions as a religious faith and stuff like that. And it's just like any other religion. But here's the thing, though. There is no other religion on earth that has an apostasy law. Islam is the only religion that has an apostasy law. And the apostasy law is this. If you are to leave Islam, you should be killed.
Oh, wow.
Most people don't know this. And I think it's about time we started to understand that. Because if you're going to say that you're just like every other religion, but I can't leave your religion without fear of death, then something is obviously very, very different with your ideology than the rest of the others. So that is that. Again, we can have conversations. Zara, I love you, my man, and I appreciate you being, having the conversation. So on that note, let's switch to some hip hop?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. It's you got what'd you call it? The Incredible Bongo Band, Apache or some shit, like some b-boy music that you can put on. Nah. Yeah.
Let's do. I did get like a email about these two artists that needed some feedback. Young the Producer,
okay,
featuring Frank Benz and Keonsi.
Right.
When it come to you, and we got Greg Ticos, I Can Feel It. All right, so we got two of those songs that we can take a listen to.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up right here. There it is. I just saw it. And shout out to my man Chris Whammy out there in New York City doing the damn thing. He just sent this off to me so we can vibe to. All right, so let's tap in. Young producer, when it comes to. All right, I guess I'm gonna use the first one. I believe that might be the version to listen to. All right, here we go.
I think my right, I can't hear on my right earphone.
I can't even hear it at all. Hold on. It's on the Roadcaster. Is it on the Bluetooth channel? Oh, we got to All right, here we go. All right, let's go again. Younger producer.
Yeah, I'm still not hearing it on the right.
You gotta use your bottom right there, underneath you. Kind of like play with the. I guess the chord would be on your left hand.
Yeah, let's see here. Oh, it's good now.
Yeah,
let's go.
You tapped it, right?
Yeah, you tapped it. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. Once again, that was Young the Producer featuring Frank Benz and Keonsi, When It Comes to You. How you feel about that joint right there?
I'm a tough guy, man. Okay, first of all, you already know I'm a hip hop dude. I don't really listen to R&B like that. So that, not that there's anything wrong with R&B, ladies. Y'all have a good time, all that. Actually, it's funny. They're doing an R&B versus with Donnell Jones and Joe, right? It's coming up kind of soon. Funny enough, that's something I might actually watch it because I do like Donnell Jones. I had a Donnell Jones CD way back in the day, so I liked I think Where I Wanna Be or something. I used to listen to that.
Where
with the
I
ladies.
Wanna Be.
Yeah, you got your shorty, all that shit, right? It was
with
cool.
the
Joe's eye.
homeboys.
So, anyways, back to my man with the record. I mean, it's not really my cup of tea. I don't think the song itself is trash. It's just not special to me, you know. It's kind of mixing the hip hop and the R&B. I think it's even a little bit more on the R&B side, if you were to ask my honest opinion. And I would say, you know, check in with whatever you think your audience is. Like, you know, ask a person who really loves R&B and the ladies and how they feel about it. Because if they love it, then that's great, you know.
I definitely agree with you. I feel like it's definitely more R&B than hip hop, which is obviously not a bad thing. But I feel like the way how it was structured, I don't think I really liked the way how it was structured with the R&B last. It was already introduced the R&B. I would have loved it to start with the singing, and then you put the dab of the hip hop, almost like
that's a good call.
almost like when they did Honey with the Locks, where the transition was they just started off rapping, then it goes into the R&B, or the Biggie and Total. You start off with the rapping, you go R&B, you end with rapping. I think Mace was on that joint too. So like, I don't like the R&B, then it went to the rap. The R&B, then it went to the singing. I feel like the way how it was structured was off. Now, I think the rapping was dope though. The rapping skill of that guy that was rapping, very good. He's a good rapper. He had some little lines in there, but I feel like I didn't want to hear the singing after he rapped. So now you lose the focus on, oh, there's a singer on here. Now it's kind of slowed down.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the rap was hype. It could have even just started with the rap, and then it goes into the singing aspect of the song.
Well, you know, this is the thing, man. You're a producer, so you've got a really good ear, and that's a really good point. I wouldn't have even picked up on that, but essentially the arrangement, right? Or you right? Right? Like, and that's a really good point, especially when you're mixing genres, right? You have to really be conscious on like, okay, what expectation am I setting first? Right? And that's tough. It's, you know, you got to really think about that, right? Like, and a lot of times I would probably say, depending on your audience, you want to give them the first thing, right? If that's your audience. If your audience is an R&B audience, then you might want to just start with, you know,
the R&B.
with the R&B, right? Straight up, right? Or, probably. It's only if, like, for example, your album's you're a known artist, people know you're an R&B artist, and then you start with a rap just to throw people off a little bit, you know, or whatever, and we can expect that. So I think that's a very fair point.
Last thing on it, I would say, like, going back to that point where you said cater to your audience, they even have, like, Dark Horse with Juicy J, they even have two versions. They have the version that doesn't, like, for the radio stations that don't accept rap music, and then you have the rap music version for the urban station that want to play Juicy J and still like Katy Perry.
That's right.
So, hey, man, shout out to them for doing their thing. Last song from the people that send in music, or my dad, Chris Whammy, Greg Tico's I Can Feel It. I think this is another R&B record. I do want to talk a bit, before you leave, I do want to talk a bit about the 38 Spesh Jadakiss back and forth. I think I know you covered it on but I want to see your face when you talk about these things. And I want to talk about some of the records that...
I got you.
All right, so Greg Tico's I Can Feel It. I knew it. I saw the cover and I was like, yeah. One of those ones. Greg Tico, ladies and gentlemen, I can feel it. I can feel it. Right here on the Argue to Disagree show with TochiRTA.
You know,
Sorry, agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Go ahead.
You know, that's one of those sort of like we all sing along and, you know, like the crowd record, right? Sorry, I'm thinking not Queen, like we will rock you, but you know, it's not exactly that. But you kind of, I can feel it. It's like you can just imagine like a stadium of people going, right? Mm-hmm. Again, not the kind of music I listen to at all, but I thought it was okay. You know, it wasn't terrible. Not like my thing. Yo, on that note, can I tell you real quick what I actually like bump on a day-to-day basis super regularly? Well, actually, you know what? You give your opinion on this track, and then we'll get to that because I think that'll inform the 38 Spesh thing and all that. So
Better than the last song.
yeah,
Sonically, I felt like the artist was unique enough. It sounded a little bit dated though. Just a tad bit dated.
Yeah.
It sounded like
those synths, like 08, like it's like 07, 08 type of, yeah.
It sounded like Beauty and the Beast, but like a more hip hop version of Beauty and the Beat. I think it was too long too. I think if you trim that down a bit more, I think it would be more effective. And I do hate short records, but this was so repetitive that it didn't need that second stanza or whatever because I thought there was going to be more, but it ended the song. It's like, okay, well, I get where the song's coming from. The way how streaming now is, you don't need to make like the songs repetitive because people will just play it back anyways. They'll just rewind it, put it on a loop. So the length of the song actually deteriorates the whole experience for me. But cool record. I like artists trying new things. I like new sounds. It's not new sound, but it seems like it's a refurbished old sound trying to bring it new, and it's better than AI. So I'm all right with it. I'm all right.
It's kind of a low bar, but that's all right.
Ryan, did you see Tyga got 0 on Pitchfork for that stupid song that he put out?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's better than AI. Them niggas be doing AI like a motherfucker, bro. Him and Phoenix flexing. Them niggas.
Wow.
AI
That's a new
warriors.
lick, huh?
Yeah, it's bad, fam. It's bad.
Yeah, man, it's
But
crazy.
yeah. So what do you listen to on a day-to-day?
So on a day-to-day basis, I say this will inform my opinions on a lot on some of this stuff, the records that this guy played, right? Listen, on Instagram I go by Hip Hop Tochi. Like I am a hip hop dude. I can't stress this enough. I'm a purist. I love that hardcore shit. Okay. I do listen to other genres. And I like other genres, and the truth is hip-hop borrows from other genres, so of course I like other genres, but really and truly, I love rap. I like the manipulation of it. So right now, the song I probably play the most is, have you heard that song by Family? This came out like 2007 or something. Hit me on my beeper, hit me on my beeper. This is old. This is like 20 years ago. I just that heavy. That's like Family and Pharrell, heavy. I love that record.
Wow.
I listen to Styles P, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever heard a song called Kill That F Word. I'll say that.
Kill that maggot. What?
Yeah,
Kill
yeah.
That
That is
what?
what.
Kill that maggot. What? Kill that maggot.
God. Bro, that is like my shit. You guys don't understand. When I'm in the gym, that's the shit I'm playing. I listen to that all the fucking time. You would think I was born in a pot the way my blood boiled. Put your brain in the dirt and call it thug soil. Flow till you're sick of me. What up? If you're Catholic, get your rosaries. Muslims, get your thicker beads. Come on, man. Come on. Nigga, I'm hip hop. I like, you know what I'm saying? I really does this. Yeah. So anyways, that's like, so again, that's where I'm coming at this stuff from. I love Cardi. I've always said this. I really love Playboy Cardi. This is earlier stuff. I don't like that vampire shit. I never got down with all that. But when Cardi came out, old money, new hoe. Oh, old money, new hoe. I love that shit. That's the shit I'd be listening to. So I listen to the newer stuff, like in the quote unquote with the trappy Cardi, Gunna, that, and then like old school,
Really old
hardcore. Rap records.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know, for what I want to hear in terms of hip hop, like if you can make one of those two, like I'm good. But other than that, I just, you know, like rap R&B mixes and all that. And, nah. Oh, and also on my channel, I just posted TochiRTA for those of y'all want to follow. But I just posted, there's a musician from Mali that I love a lot. Amadou and Miriam, they're a blind couple.
wow.
They got sampled by, you know that song Patient by Nas? Nas and Damian Marley. There's like a girl she's singing, like,
It's on the Distant Cousins shit.
exactly.
I
Distant
never really
Relatives.
tapped into that record still, man. I lied to you, boom.
Okay.
I just like the main song.
Yeah.
don't
So
really
I
tap
thought
into
Distant Relatives, I love the idea of Distant Relatives.
Yeah.
I think the execution was kind of,
Lackluster?
if I'm being honest, I think the execution could have been better. I think they on certain songs they executed well, like this one, like Patience. I think they executed it quite well, actually. But I think the execution could have been better. But the idea of it is brilliant because what they were essentially doing is they were bringing all the black diasporas together, right? Nas represents Black Americans, you know. Damian Marley is the West Indians, the Jamaican, and then they were sampling a lot of those songs. They were sampling African music, so they were sampling stuff from Mali, from Ethiopia. I'm like, this shit's fucking brilliant. This is the kind of stuff we need to do, right? To bring those worlds together. But the execution was a little. But anyways, one of the artists that got sampled, which is how I learned about them to begin with, is Blind Couple from Mali. They make absolutely gorgeous music, really, really beautiful stuff. So I listen to that sometimes when I want to relax, you know. But
That's dope.
Yeah. But I'm like, you know, I'm a hip hop dude, man.
I feel you.
Yeah.
That's why I want your take on 38 Spesh versus Jadakiss before you leave. First of all, in hindsight, I know I probably might know the answer, but if they were to go in a song for song, not a verses or nothing, just 38 Spesh drops, then Jadakiss responds, then 38 responds, who do you think has the upper hand here?
Can you do me a favor? Can you play All for the Love by Jadakiss? You got that?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Let's just go back to the beginning because I want people to understand what this shit really is, who you're talking about here.
All right.
This is out of the headphone. Jadakiss. Can you take that for problem? How you want to solve them? Automatic? Here's the lesson.
Mine.
A lesson.
Yeah.
I'm a rocky.
Facts.
I'm a drop you.
Treat you like the clutch.
And pop. With your honey.
With
Uh-huh. And more money. It's trying to run me. I feel luscious. And get the Duchess. Awesome thing.
Wow.
It's a piece of God.
While we just get started,
Jason.
do you have any idea who you facing?
Never figure out.
Spit it out.
Niggas is too broke to pay attention.
Like back then,
$500,000 with all my guns, all my women.
next few years, you're going to see about
$1
a
billion.
all for the love of...
Come on, man. Come on.
Back then, those are fucking bars, bro. Like, you never heard nothing like this back in when this dropped. This dropped, what, 97? 98?
98, yeah.
Right before 99 Rough Riders. Yeah, but this was like, and this was the nice Jada. Like, tame Jada.
Yeah.
Tame Jada, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think obviously Jada is whole leagues above 38 Special. Like, I mean, bro, like, to me, it's like it's a laughable comparison because 38 Special is one of the worst rappers I've ever heard in my life.
Are you fucking serious, though?
Absolutely.
Nah. Hold on.
Yeah, Shane.
Nah.
My nigga, how he raps like a fucking like pro.
Nah. Hold on, I gotta make you hear something still. He's not the worst at all.
One of the worst I've ever heard.
I think you're disrespectful, right? I think you're disrespectful. Hold on. I gotta pull this record. Hold on. Shout out to Fred the Godson. You know what I'm saying? All right, yes, and she's. Come on. and your pistol don't work. Listen. Come on, man. On your pistol, come on. Suck it, go to church.
Bars.
How the food shall inherit the earth. Somewhere in earth. Here in the dead. Come on. I like Javon the bird. Let's go. Forward. Tackle the perfect addresses all over America. You know Erica, but you don't know Erica's words.
Nigga, you got me nodding off on camera, man.
Come on. When you're carrying another man's load like a surrogate bird. Like a surrogate bird. Truck. Come on, you can't say he's not hard, bro.
Trash.
Come on, you're a hip hop guy. You're gonna say 3 Special's trash?
That was
huh?
trash.
You don't like his voice.
I fucking hate his voice.
That's probably what it is.
But listen, it's not just the voice, because voice is huge. Voice is huge.
Yes, voice is a
It's
major
huge.
thing,
It's
for sure.
huge. I don't like how you. My bitch is a drug mule, and fuck out of here, man. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm fucking. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my 40s, bro. Like I can't listen to this garbage. Like, you're too old to be rapping about this shit, number one. Your voice is trash. The beat's boring. What am I listening to right now?
Side question. So the Clips was too old to talk about this shit that they did when they dropped the album?
You mean the one that just came out?
Yes.
Yes.
So you didn't like it then?
I didn't like the Clips album. I actually didn't. I mean, I reviewed it on my channel. The production was, I didn't like the production at all either. You see, listen, homie, this, you know what's so interesting to me about when people look, guys, the example is right in front of you. Do you know why we consider Nas and Jay to be the greatest rappers ever? Because they actually fucking evolved on some level. It's clear. By the time you hear Jay-Z, Primetime, Beat by Dion, this is what the fuck we on, I've been, this is my third eon. He's evolved. Jay evolved, but he's still hard. The beat's still slamming. Like, but it's not, I'm back, and still spending money from 88 Hove. You gotta evolve, my nigga. You gotta evolve your content. You gotta evolve your beat. I would say the beat still needs to have that energy and still that ruggedness, but you need to evolve your content. Nas evolved his content, right? So yeah, I'm not trying to hear some old guy talk to me about, I still got the work in the trunk. That shit is garbage to me.
So Jada evolved his content?
I don't think Jada evolved as a content. I gotta be honest with you. However, one thing I will say about Jada is that when Jada raps, I notice with his verses, he tends to talk more about this is what people around me are doing, right? And I'm still aware of that. I'm still kind of in the loop. But he's not necessarily like I'm moving keys from place to place. Jada is, in my opinion, I haven't really heard that from him. It's more of just like, yeah, we still kind of in it. We on a maybe even a higher level. And that, again, not ideal, but I can stomach that.
So Jadakiss became a Nas?
Not quite, because Jada has never really, in my opinion, led us into his own world, right? I mean, this is why Nas was so dope. Because
I was talking about Nas when he first started. Nas, when he first started, technically was looking outside the project window.
That's right.
Reporting stories about what his brothers are doing. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily being in it, but being around it, talking about it,
That's
reporting stuff from Queensbridge. But you're saying Jadakiss is doing what Nas is doing back in the 90s.
Right now, to a certain extent, right.
Wouldn't that be an evolution for him then?
It is an evolution for him, but I'm saying that it's still, like, Jada's content is still very, very street focused, and I think that is not so good. I'm just being honest.
I get it. And honestly, I understand. Yeah. And I understand that point.
I mean, this is, my favorite rappers ever are Nas and Hov, and like they've been like that for a long time. But what I love about like Nas, I mean, it's wild when you think about it. We know Nas, the name of Nas's mom. We know the name of his baby moms, his daughter, his son to a certain extent, his father, because Nas was always very like, this is what's happening in Queensbridge, but this is also kind of what's happening in my life as well.
Right.
And this is why we fuck with Nas so heavy, because I know obviously he made great music, to cover all that. But my point is, he created a persona where it gave him enough room to evolve onto the next thing, and obviously he's done that. And Hove in a way has evolved in the sense that because he always came out the gate rapping about money, essentially, and that's he's like the ultimate hustler, and that's what he's always rapped about. Because there's always, being the ultimate hustler never ends. So there's just newer and higher levels of the hustle, and that's why Hove seems like he's evolving. And he's evolving in his own way that makes total sense to him, and I love it. But my point is that you're too old to be rapping these kind of bars, bro. Like I'm saying to 30 Spesh, not only are you too old, the bars themselves aren't that special. The voice is trash. The voice sucks, and the beats are boring. And so to me, that is a whack rapper. I mean, I need some air horns for that shit, but
I'm not air horning that shit, nigga. I don't believe that. I can't air horn. Actually, you know what? This is your show. That's not from Vegas.
What's up, man?
All right, so if we're talking about voices, right?
Yeah.
How do we feel about Lil Boosie?
Boosie? I don't give a fuck about Boosie. Voice-wise, I don't listen to Lil Boosie at all. In fact, the only Boosie song I know, and he was a feature on that shit, was "Wipe Me Down." I've never heard anything.
Wipe
anything.
Me Down.
Yeah, "Wipe Me Down," and the beat is hard. I actually
That
like the
beat
song.
is hard,
The
yeah.
beat is hard.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah,
was
the
dope,
beat's
but
nasty.
I mean, I don't give a fuck about Boosie at all. Like at all. I don't watch his interviews. I could care less what he thinks about anything. Yeah.
I don't really fuck with Boosie either. So I'm not gonna lie to you.
But this is what I think is so interesting though. Why does 38 Spesh But bro, I've seen this pattern before, bro, where some whack underground rapper will come out the gate and basically try to get clout off a top 5, top 10, top 20 rapper. You'll notice they'll never be like, "Yo, I'm better than Rock Marciano." They'll never go after other people who are actually in their own weight class of whack. They never do that. They
Wait,
always
Rock is whack too? I think you just don't like that style of rap. Like you don't like the Griselda style of rap, do you?
at all.
You don't like Benny, you don't like
that
West
shit
Side,
at all. I
you
think
don't
that shit
like-
is garbage. I
don't
don't
like
like
Conway?
it. I don't like it at all. At all. That shit's terrible. All of it's bad. All of it's bad. It's too slow. It's just too slow. It's not rhythmic enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's too slow. The voices are really boring. They're too old to be rapping about this shit that they're rapping about. Like, it just doesn't work on all levels. Their fits are trash. Like, bro, respectfully, I know, like, some people like it, and that's okay. But when I look at it, to me, it's like whack rap. I just look at it as like, man, this could not be whacker.
Wow. I really like that rap.
That's okay.
But
All right, fair enough.
it's I
Fair
guess
enough.
it's to each his own, right?
Yeah.
Damn, fuck.
But you see, so I was, to my earlier point,
Yeah.
I've seen this before. And they all do this shit. Euro Droog came out. He was trying to basically be like, I'm actually Nas. Remember that goofy shit? I don't know if you remember that. Then
Ali Vegas came up with doing that dumb shit.
Ali Vegas came out
Yeah.
doing that stupid shit. What's his name? Action Bronson came out with that stupid shit. Remember?
Ghostface.
Yeah, against Ghostface. Oh, at first I'm a fan, but then it's like, oh wait, actually Ghost ain't made nothing dope in like 10 years. I'm actually better than Ghost. It always ends up like this, bro. I've seen it with these guys. They're always chasing clout, and that shit irritates me. Now, with that said, a lot of these rappers like a Jadakiss or a Ghostface, I don't know if they necessarily care because they've gotten their bread. A lot of times, they get paid to be on features with these people. They don't really give a shit. I don't even think, to them, it's whatever. And again, this is not personal. I don't have a personal beef with Benny or whatever, or 38. I just think he's a whack rapper to me. So, and I think it's laughable because you're talking about a guy that nobody knows who is basically saying that he's as good as one of the greatest rappers ever. Jadakiss is one of the greatest rappers ever. This is a fact. It's not, again, it's so wild because it's not even like, and shout out to Spade from Citizen King because I just saw Spade last night. It's not like he's saying I'm better than Spade. Spade will fucking destroy this dude. Spade's way better rapper than fucking 38 Special, right? And my point is that like there are lots of rappers that are way better than 38 Special that some people know and some people don't know. But of course, Spesh is not gonna say I'm better than those people. He's gonna go, I'm better than Jay. I'm better than Jadakiss. Like, give me a fucking break. It's all clout. That's my opinion on it.
last thing then. Given the fact that you said, why does he feel like he can say those things? I mean, it's about your surroundings. It's about like all the artists. Like, I feel like 38 Spesh is your rapper's favorite rapper. So like,
According
the top
to who?
guys are gonna.
According
I'm
to
just
who?
saying in general, like the songs that he's been on,
Okay.
the features that he's with. He has a song with Jadakiss. You know what I'm saying? He has a song with a lot of
The
rappers.
Coogee rap.
Yeah. So like those guys are pushing behind him. Like, yo, you're actually super dope, and you build that confidence. He'd be like, yo, if I feel okay, like I want another verse from Jadakiss, he's not responding. Like, why aren't you? Like, what is it? Are you afraid to get on a song with me? Then it becomes a spectacle. He's just afraid to do a song with me. I'm going to spin that narrative and see how far it goes.
Right.
And I feel like there's nothing wrong with talking your shit and being like, I am better than your legend. He's like Robin, RKO, fam.
I respectfully disagree here. Look, listen, we in hip hop, you got to talk your shit. We know this already, but I'm tired of people talking and not producing. Because to me, actually, hip hop says you got to produce the fucking records. You got to, like, it'd be a different thing entirely if 38 Spesh came out with music that actually was as good or even better than All for the Love or some shit. Then I'm like, oh, and then you talk your shit. That's different because you got to back it up. This idea that, you know, whack niggas really ran with this shit where it's like, I'm supposed to believe I'm number one, right? Like, so I'm just number one. Like, I'm the best rapper ever. Even though I've literally never studied anything in rap, I don't give a fuck about hip hop, I don't know nothing, but I'm supposed to think I'm number one. It's like, no, that's not what hip hop culture ever said. Hip hop culture said that you have to study this hip hop shit and think that it's possible for you to become number one if you are actually put in the work, you're dope, you really spend that time, and then believe in yourself where you feel like you're the best rapper to do it in your own regard. And that's why when you do take that ethos to heart, you can be number one. It's almost like, for example, when I listen to, let me throw out a record like, what's that song? Homeboy, I came to party, nothing, right? Nori, right?
Nori, yeah.
So Nas cannot make a record like that.
No.
Right? Nas is amazing. Nas is, to me, a better rapper than Nori, right?
Yeah.
However, Nori, in that element, when it comes to that comedic thug kind of thing, Nori is one of the best to ever do it. He might arguably be number one. This is what I'm trying to say. He backed it up. He made the songs in that moment. He made a brilliant song. And yes, when he's rapping it, you're like, man, this nigga, he's rapping like he's number one. And that's what you mean. But it's not just you talk about being number one and your records are garbage or you don't even put out music or like you were saying, you do the AI thing. Like, get out of here with that.
Well, that's
Listen, I was going to say, oh, my man, you wanted to add something real quick?
Wait, so we don't like the Tiger album?
I never even heard
I
that
was
shit.
jamming it all
I
weekend.
don't listen to
Like-
Tiger, so I wouldn't know.
Like that shit, it was groovy.
Anyways.
Yo, can I add one last thing, actually? So I'm just gonna go back real quick. This is, sort of to end this off. But Zar, I'm thinking about this conversation with Zar, and Zar, we're gonna have a longer conversation, my man. I got you. But I think it's so interesting that when I make the comments that I make about Islam, I told you I grew up there, so I have an affinity. This is a place that I understand very, very well, right? But I always think it's interesting. People will say, well, like they're always interested in like as though I'm some kind of like mouthpiece for Mossad or Israel or some shit. And I always find that really interesting because if you look at my IG, you'll see me post. I have posted about being at an Israel rally. I've also been at a Bangladesh rally. I've been at an India rally. I've been at a lot of different rallies actually. So, but that part never gets mentioned. I just find it so fascinating because ultimately these things are all tied to Islamic violence, right? Which I know very well. Like in Nigeria, where I'm from, we are victims of Islamic violence. My entire tribe was damn near wiped. Oh, well, we weren't wiped out. We're still thriving. But the whole war in the 60s, where millions of my people were killed by Muslims from the north. So these are things that affect us. It's not like, so again, it's just interesting to me. It's like they just completely neglect that part. They're like, oh, it's all Israel. It has nothing to do with Israel, really. It has to do with the larger issue of having a belief system that basically says it's okay for me to come and just kill you because you're a kafir. And that is wrong. It's just flat out wrong, and I'm going to speak on that. So anyways, keep that in mind. These things do affect us. People have no idea that in Trinidad and Tobago, there was a coup in the 90s where this Islam jihadis came in and tried to take over the country.
Abu Bakr.
Yeah, man.
I was there.
You were there, literally?
Fam, it was a curfew, fam, and like I was in Point. I went on vacation because my family's from Point. So all of a sudden we're watching TV and the TV shuts down. And then someone is on the TV and they're talking about taking over the country. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm a kid, right? This is like, I'm 84, so I'm like 6 years old at this time. So I don't know what the hell is going on until I figure out when we get home. It's like, yeah, like people try to take over Trinidad.
Yeah.
Going on later, I found out it was Abu Bakr and that whole thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was there. So.
Bro, this is real shit.
Real life.
This is real life shit.
Yeah.
And so again, it was like, but what about? I don't give a fuck about Israel. Respect. I say that respectfully. It ain't got shit to do with Israel. This is just a larger geographical problem. I can't even post some of the things that that are still, because we have a big issue in Nigeria with this. Actually, it's a massive problem. I can't even post some of this stuff because it's so graphic. I don't even post on my IG. It's that it's so bad, bro. But where I'm from, my grandmother is worried about jihadists from the north invading our village, and we're in the south and shit because it's an issue. It's happened obviously historically, and it's still happening. So again, knock it off. Like that whole thing about whatever. Like I mean, again, I say this respectfully, but it ain't got nothing to do with whatever Israel. I'm not even thinking about that like that. Mm-hmm. I support them because I understand it. It's like I feel you, homie. I know what y'all are going through. But really, it's about, I mean, on one side, it's also about me and what my people have been through and what so many Africans have been through, because it is a problem. It's, in fact, the epicenter of Islamic terrorism in the world is in Africa. A lot of people don't know this, in the Sahel region specifically, West Africa, Mali, all these other countries. We go through this shit, bro. Trust me, I know. So, again, something to think about, Zar, when we talk about next time, all right? We'll leave that at that.
Okay, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Last thing. Punch and Self recently got on their platform to talk about the top 5 best rap groups of all time. I'll play the clip another time, but I just want you, right off the drip, right off the top of the dome, pause, your top 5 best rap groups of all time.
Yo, that pause shit's funny, man. Top rap groups of all time.
Top 5 best rap groups.
Now, here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
I consider a rap group to be 3 or more people, right?
Correct.
I don't want to do duos and all that, because then it gets real kind of tricky.
Okay. But they are considered a group, though, a duo.
I know.
But I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean. Okay. This is an interesting one. Now, to me, the greatest rap group ever easily is Wu-Tang. Easily. I think by a long shot. I say that because of the fact that obviously you've got 10 members who can all rap, which is actually a pretty phenomenal thing. They can all rap. Some are, better than others, obviously. But at least half of them are like some of the best rappers you ever heard in your life. That in itself is incredible. It's not like just one, right? So I do think that Wu-Tang, and the idea behind Wu-Tang is genius. To start off as a group, then go solo, almost like, on some comic book shit, and then come back like Avengers. Like, I think that shit's brilliant. So clearly, I think number one, I would say, is Wu-Tang. For me, and even as a person who, just from the outside looking in. Now, I will say this, because I was shout out to Ron Nelson and Spade. I was just listening to them speak last night, and to them, they would say probably that the greatest rap group ever is Run DMC, right? They would put Run DMC on that list because they're like, you've never seen nothing like Run DMC. No, I was not there. I wasn't, I was a toddler probably by the time Run DMC was doing anything. So I'm not privy to that. But they were like, Run DMC just like, they were gods. They really, they just changed this whole shit in so many foundational ways. And nothing would be bigger than them in a way. So, okay, maybe. But if you were to ask me off, but they're not in my top 5 of my favorite to listen to, for sure, 100%. I actually, speaking when it comes to Run DMC or Houdini, I prefer Houdini's music to Run DMC's music. me personally, even though they're produced by the same guy. But that's just me. But I fuck with Run DMC, of course. So I would say group-wise, Wu-Tang. Now this is where it gets difficult because I'm like struggling to think of like what other group was out there that really made a noise that I could say, oh, these guys were like a group and I bought their album or something. Honestly, it's like just Wu-Tang, man. As a group. I'm not talking duos, right? Oh, you know what? Tribe Called Quest. They're a group technically, right? So Wu, Tribe, De La Soul technically are a group. So that's 3. Who else? Damn. I'm stumbled, man. What are the last 2 ones? Locks? I mean, Locks, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe in the distant, I wouldn't put them. I don't know. But I'm struggling, man. Help me out. Help me out here. Because you know what I think is so funny about hip-hop, bro?
Yeah.
Hip-hop started as groups, right?
Yes, they did.
Right? Like
Yes, they
Cold
did.
Crush, Funky 4+1, all that. But you'll notice that rap became more and more individual, right? And I think that is a good thing. You know, yeah, man, it's a good thing.
I think you have to have balance. I think
do.
groups are necessary because it's just a 1-2 punch, like doing things together. I guess on a productive side, lessens the load. I understand financially why being a solo is better, but man, like we need groups too. Like I think someone was saying, like, especially now in the landscape of, there's no teen acts. There's like your younger acts, like the Disney acts, and then there's the adult acts, but there's no teeny bopper shit no more. Like they completely cut that shit out. So what do the teens have to like tap in with? And that goes back to like Mobb Deep starting off as a teenage group. It goes back to Nas starting as a teenager. Jay-Z started as a young man. DMX was young. Like all these guys were young when they started, you know what I'm saying? 50 was young when he started rap. So it's like, where's the teeny bopper shit, you know what I'm saying? In terms of my 5 man, I'm gonna do Wu-Tang. I'm gonna do Wu-Tang first. I'm gonna do, and you said no duos, so I would say 3 6 Mafia second for me.
Okay.
Because 3 6 Mafia is probably one of the most influential groups from the South. And nobody probably even realizes that.
No doubt.
I would put the Locks. I'll put them in my 3rd as a group. Solid hip-hop group. They're more than 2 people. They're 3. My 4... And people will say they're a crew. Not most of the group, but they have an album. Is Diplomats. Dipset, Diplomats, they have an album. They have 2 albums, as a matter of fact. So they are technically a group.
Okay, that's fair.
We are doing that. Yes, we are. They have 2 albums.
2 compilations.
It's an album. It's a Diplomat album. It's Diplomats.
Second album has way more members, so does that really count?
Yes, it does. As a Diplomat, yes, it's a Diplomat.
Fair
It's the
point.
Diplomats.
Go ahead.
If people do argue that it's a crew more so than than thing, but I want to put the Diplomats. And my 5th would, oh man, it's so hard because the duos are not involved. I guess duos could be its own thing. Otherwise, I'd possibly put Outkast in there, but I can't. So
Yeah, duo.
for the 5th, G-Unit? G-Unit. Baby, that's what's up. And I'd actually put them 4 and then put Diplomats 5 because I was listening to G-Unit the other day and I'm like, God damn. G-Unit is fire, fam.
That's funny.
Unit in the house.
That's what's up.
Yeah, you know, I think that I know I like the individuals. You know what the reason why I think it makes sense that rap would eventually go towards the individual. I just think it's more interesting because especially as the production gets more evolves, and the thing that's cool about individuals is that now like you're listening to someone's world. Right? Like you're listening, you're getting a lot more than just like groups making a song. It's now like, what does this person think? And every aspect of that album, the beats inform like their environment, what they think, how they feel about shit. So naturally, I think rap was going to move in that direction anyways. I mean, to me, Wu-Tang obviously, came out and, crushed buildings as a group. But to me, they really shined as individuals.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And that's, to me, again, when you're listening to Ghostface, Supreme Clientele, that's a very different vibe than Liquid Swords, Jizza, right? Because Liquid Swords is jizza. Like, that's his mindset. That's who he is. And, you kind of go into that world. That's why I think rap, it was going to go down into that, sort of individualism type of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to groups. I mean, we didn't mention Salt and Pepper, Salt and Pepper.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be for you, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't listen to Salt and Pepper.
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
I get it, though.
Yeah.
No, because they have a DJ.
Spinderella.
Yeah. 2 turntables and a mic. It's like
Yeah.
two rappers and a DJ. It's a group.
It's still 2 rappers.
But then you can't put Run DMC then.
If that's the case.
That's right.
If that's the case, you might as well put Outkast because they both produce as well.
But they don't have a DJ.
But they both produce.
Nah, that doesn't work. They have just 2 rappers with no DJ. You have to have a DJ if you're going to be a group.
That's right. You have to have a third member, essentially,
there's
right?
a third one,
Who's the third member in Outkast? It's just Outkast.
Exactly.
Right? Like Spinderella is part of Salt and Pepper, right? She's part of the
process,
the group, right, so to speak.
So
technically, I mean, I'm trying to think, man. I hope we're not forgetting any major. Like, you want to Google that real quick and just see what comes up? Rap group. Sorry, what?
Saint Lunatics.
Did they have an album?
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah, the one with Batter Up, no? Or was that for the soundtrack?
I love that record.
That was for Nelly's album, wasn't it? I don't think they have an album.
Trust me, they do.
Really?
From that era.
They probably had an album.
I'm from that era. Don't
Yeah.
Did you have the
A
album?
song that was on the soundtrack is called Summer in the City. That's from the Osmosis Jones soundtrack.
Okay, yeah, you were a fan.
Throughout the city and shit, so.
You were definitely a fan. So rap groups.
Oh, that's funny. We didn't even mention Public Enemy.
No, we
or
didn't.
NWA.
Oh yeah, NWA too. That's right.
Yeah.
The NWA. Yeah.
Yeah. So
see, a lot of these are like duos. I see. Like, hold on, I'm going. Heavy D and the Boys. If you want up, Onyx.
Nah.
Slum Village.
I like Slum Village a lot, man. I like Slum Village a lot, bro.
Farside.
Nah.
Brand Nubian.
Nah.
Goody Mob.
Nah.
2 Live Crew.
Nah.
Boogie Down Productions.
Nah. Oh, nah. But anyway, they were dope, of course.
Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys were hard.
Yeah. Hot Boys.
How the fuck we forget about
No.
the Hot Boys?
Sugar Hill Gang.
I mean, they made Rappers Delight. It was a bomb, but nah, I wouldn't listen. I don't listen to them like that.
TRU?
Bone Thugs and R&B.
Definitely not.
TRU.
Who?
Master P.
Oh,
C
TRU.
Murder.
True. Nah.
Who else was there?
Nah.
Slick. Was someone Slick the Shocker? Cypher Hill.
Oh yeah, actually, but I mean, I only really listen to Be Real, if I'm being honest. That kind of thing.
Be
Like
Real.
Sendog was kind of like,
He was like whatever.
yeah.
West Side Connection.
West Side Connection was a rap group, yeah.
They're tough still.
Naughty by Nature.
Naughty by Nature, a good group, man. But that one's a tough one because I only really like Tretch. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean? But OPP is one of the first rap songs I ever fucking heard, bro.
For real?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I heard that
OPP.
way, and it's funny as a kid. You're like, OPP. You don't even know what they're talking about.
They say it too. The OPP or other people's property.
Yeah.
I did say, sorry, I said Fuji's. We forgot Fuji's. I think Fuji's should be up there. Fuji's for me would be in my 5 still. I'll take out Diplomats. I put Fuji's up there.
Okay.
Fuji's is really fucking dope. Since
Okay.
Nappy Heads, they're fucking amazing.
Okay,
I'll
what
let that
about
sound.
Nappy Roots?
No.
No, not for me. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure, one of the greats. But I mean, do I listen to Grandmaster Flash on my day-to-day? No, respectfully. Like the group, no. But I mean, yes, they are one of the great groups. Scorpio, Melly Mel, right? Like they put out some hard shit for their day, and in a way when shout out to especially if you're the younger cats, if you study them, like the blueprint for a lot of rap shit comes from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. Really and truly. They really did a lot of different, because Mel was more of like the deep thinker type of rapper, and Scorpio was more of like the party guy, and so they have a bunch of different records. Like it's actually really interesting to see it. So they tried a lot of different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Migos.
Fuck no. Fuck no.
I would put Migos in a 5 still. The Roots.
Nah.
Nah. Wow. The Roots.
Bravehearts.
Bravehearts. We did mention Public Enemy. We said Tribe. We said the NWA. And Outkast is number 1.
They put Outkast as number 1 as a group?
And Wu-Tang number 2.
Fuck out of
And
here.
Wu-Tang number 2. But yeah, those are pretty much all the rap groups.
Yeah.
Not the duos, by the way. Not the duos.
Yeah.
Members, people, groups with 2 or more.
Okay.
Three or more.
Because Fred is technically a member.
He's not a DJ though. He's not a DJ. Yeah, he's technically he's a member, but he's not really a member. He has to be a DJ.
For real, man. I fucking love that. I told you, family, hit me on my beep. Hit me. Have you heard that record? You gotta hear that shit.
What's it? Let's outro with that one.
That shit is like, what do you call that? Straight coke to the nose or some shit? I don't know. Like that record is dumb hard. Let's end with that. I gotta run because that's my shit. I'm gonna probably. Of course, bro. I'm of a certain age. I heard that when it came out, and I was like, "Who is this guy? This is just fucking ill."
I'm still pissed we never got the album.
I'm for sure because family is very talented, for sure.
Def Jam fumbled that bad.
Yeah,
Def
absolutely.
Jam or Pharrell?
You'll sign to Def Jam. That's all I can say.
But Pharrell was handling the business.
I don't know how it really went.
All right, Tochi, close out, man.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Some heavy subject, but also some hip hop. And I always appreciate coming here, man. You listen, these guys are the truth, right? GTV Network. They really are because they have the realest conversation that I've seen out of Toronto in a long time, right? Like, and they got a wide variety of people to really speak their shit. So, and I love it, bro. Like, keep doing what y'all are doing, for real, honestly, because the city needs this. Like we're too stuck, too afraid to say certain shit. Like y'all had Boogs up recently. Like this is what it's about, man. Get people to talk, have opinions. You know what I'm saying? Just feel free to come up in here, right? This is how you evolve culture, all right? So I love y'all. TochiRTA. If you want to check me out on YouTube, I give my raw breakdowns on rap music. Heads, purists, also world music. I cover some of that as well. So I'm kind of all over the place, but mostly hip hop. And of course, if you want to follow me on IG, Hip Hop Tochi. All right, I love you. Raise the volume, my nigga. I need to hear that. You will fall fifth right down, but my nuts two-way and I keep it blowing cuz. Hit me on my beeper. 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 Ah.
Let me see if I can play it loud.
Shit is bigger than ankles and midgets.